To me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Joe Canning causing the problems. Joe Canning into the back of the net. Donald O'Cusack sent off right into the back of the net. And the ball goes over the bar. And Cork have beaten Galway. What a match. What a tie.
Well, there's a touch of déjà vu about our second live game of the day here on RT2 television. 1 year ago, virtually to the day, Cork and Galway met in Thurles in an All-Ireland qualifier, and fate has thrown up that fixture once again this evening. Well, Cork were the winners that day, and by 8:30 tonight, we should know who will emerge victorious this time around to book a quarter-final place, and that will be against Waterford. Hello and welcome. Cork and Galway meet for the 31st time in Championship history this evening, and indeed past results have very much favoured Cork. But here with me to look forward to this latest meeting are Ger Loughnane, Paul Flynn and Michael Duignan. Ger, of course, as we saw in the little clips, you were on that sideline 12 months ago in Thurles. Cork came out that second half with a point to prove because of the Donal Logue situation. This time it's Galway in a way that have a point to prove, maybe going into this match.
It is, Michael. But I suppose going back to that game, you know, when your career is over, when you move on, there are games you look back on, and everybody thinks it's the games you win you look back on. But I would always look back on two games when I was manager at Clare. One against Limerick in '96 when Kieran Carey got that absolutely fantastic point to beat us. But I think last year against Cork was really the highlight of the games we had lost, because you had the five-star performance of Joe Kelly, first of all. You had Donal Logue being sent off. You had him giving the speech at half-time. You had the performance of Joe Dean and Ben O'Connor. But then, in the last 30 minutes, you had almost this demonic display by Cork. Whatever got into the Cork team, all of us here have played, and there have been certain days when you knew you weren't going to be beaten. Such was the unity and the desire of the team. And that's what it was like that night. And even though we were beaten, in the end, you just looked out and said, God, that's some team to produce something like that. Now, that was a lovely fine night. Tonight is raining down in Thurles, it's totally different. It's Galway now who are coming in with the momentum, you know, because even though they were beaten by Kilkenny, it was nearly like a victory, you know, because they put up such a great performance. Then they easily disposed of Clare. Now the pressure is really on Galway to win tonight. Of course, there's pressure on Cork as well, but the real pressure is on Galway, and you know, I think they'll produce it tonight.
The funny thing, Paul Flynn, going into this match from a Cork point of view, I mean, you've played against Cork, you've played against them yourself, Gerard managed against them, and that you know what you're up against. We still don't quite know this Cork team of 2009.
No,
in terms of what they're capable of.
Since they've regrouped after their bit of a hassle early in the year, they've come back. A good performance against Tipperary, played well for the last 30 minutes of the game, and nearly stole the game on Tipperary. But Tip helped them that day as well because they faded out. They've travelled to Offaly for a qualifying game and had it their own way, really. And they've kind of, the confidence has been built out of that. They're talking up Isaac at full forward after scoring 2 goals against Offaly. But tonight is going to be a different game because the workload this Galway team is getting through is just phenomenal. And if they can do that again tonight, I think Cork would they'll know more about themselves in an hour or so.
Sure. Well, let's give the next word to an Offaly man, Michael Duignan.
You know, I think there's question marks over this Cork team. I think they've, over the last 10 years, they've won their All-Ireland's Munster Championships, but on their best days, 5 to 12 has been the key to the team. And, you know, the half-back line is creaking a bit. Tom Kenny has had to move back there in a couple of the big matches over the last couple of years. And the midfield, Jerry O'Connor, maybe back near his best against Offaly. And then the half-forward is overly reliant on Ben O'Connor. Pat Cronin is in there for Niall McCarthy, but, you know, still unproven at this level. And Timmy McCarthy, maybe best as they're behind him. So, you know, you just wonder when the pace of the game is really creaked up. As Paul says, this Galway team, fierce hard working, and you'd wonder, you know, will Cork stand up to it? But the sounds from Cork are very good, and a lot of knowledgeable hurling people are fancying Cork to go a long way in this championship. Gerard, the work rate of Galway this year has been fairly impressive. One man who was working very hard in that team is missing after getting injured the last day.
Well, not alone that, Adrian Curnan missing tonight, he's a huge loss to Galway because he's one of the Galway backs that has real pace. And if any fault with the full back line, and maybe even John Lee, is that they lack that bit of pace. But Curnan has brilliant pace, a fantastic attitude. He's one of the soundest fellas off the field as well as on the field you ever get. Now Owen Lynch has moved back in there, very tall, very athletic player. And anyway, Owen already, the role Owen had this year was falling back to help the defence.
Yeah.
But very interesting is Jerry Farragher is in the middle of the field. And you just never know with Jerry.
Yes.
He could just start banging over points for 60 or 70 yards, or he could have a terrible game. So I think John McIntyre is right to put him in from the start, because he's a player, as we all know, with massive potential.
Oh, sure.
You know, and
Brilliant striker.
He was the star in Galway before Joe Canning arrived in the scene.
Exactly.
Played in his 3 minor finals as well.
Except that I think he concentrated too much on frees, line balls, that kind of thing, and he forgot that he had to work during the game. Now, obviously, McIntyre has instilled in him. You have to do the same as all the rest of them. You have to work. So it'll be very interesting to see how he performs tonight.
All right, lads, now we're going to get an update on events from a little earlier down in Thurles right now. Laois and Limerick met in today's other hurling qualifier there. That was a 5 o'clock throw-in at Semple Stadium, and Joanne Cantwell was watching on.
Anybody who thought this might be a cakewalk for Limerick would have realised their mistake within minutes of the throw-in. Laois put the first 3 scores on the board before Owen Costello charged through for the game's only goal. In fact, with just 6 minutes gone, the Leinster Minnows were 1-5 to no score up. Now, Limerick did begin to settle after that, but they'd only closed the gap to a goal by half-time. Laois did start the second half well, but then slowly, not too surely, Limerick began to settle into the game. They crept in, and by the hour mark, they were level for the first time. And with 5 minutes to go, Andrew O'Shaughnessy fired over a very impressive score from the sideline to put Limerick in front for the first time in the match also, and it was a lead they never relinquished. So Laois did deserve something from this game, but it's Limerick who march on to the quarter-finals.
They march on to the quarter-finals. Michael Duignan, not, as Joanne was saying, they're in quite the fashion that people thought they might.
No, they would have been expected to win that handily. You know, Laois have had a tough year, but I'm delighted for Niall Rigney. He's a very passionate hurling man, and he'll take a lot of pride out of that performance down there tonight. But Limerick there'll be a lot of question marks over them, and Dublin are going to be, I suppose, cock a hoop now, you know, and be hot favourites against Limerick going into the quarter-final, and maybe fancying their chance even against Tip if they get over that. But maybe it'll be a good way for Limerick to go in, but they're not really hurling well, and you know, it looks like a great opportunity for Dublin maybe to make an Ireland semi-final. Because of other matches and the way the draw has been preordained, we know, as Michael was saying there, Paul, that it's going to be Dublin that Limerick are facing next. Now, not taking anything away from Laois's performance, but I mean, Galway earlier on the Leinster Championship beat Laois very handy.
Very handy. Well, Michael, Limerick were very poor the first day against Waterford and Thurles, and weren't much better, to be honest, the second day. So and they had a good win in Wexford, but in all fairness, like, I mean, if they want to make progress into the semi-final All Ireland, like, they're not playing well, and it doesn't seem that they're not improving with each game going on either. So I think Dublin will be delighted, as Michael said, to be facing Limerick. OK, we're coming back to the game that we're featuring here tonight. Again, as I said, the winners of this match will face your own county, Waterford. Who do you think it's going to be? Yeah, it's a hard one. Like, I mean, Galway are working, but they're not putting up the scores. You know, they're working really hard. Their half-forward line is putting great pressure on the opposing backs, but they're not really matching the work with the scores. And I think they'll need it tonight to do the work and put the scores on the board. Cork know how to win championship matches. This Galway team are kind of finding their feet to win the matches. But I think Galway, if they work hard and take their points. All right, lads, well, why not? Let's hear from the two managers ahead of this game. They are Dennis Walsh, who is the Cork manager, and of course John McIntyre, the man in charge of Galway these days, and they've been talking to Joanne Cantwell.
This is the serious stuff now, and I would say, like, we're Galway, this is our 4th game, this is only our 3rd match, and I suppose some commentators will say that maybe the intensity of some of our games haven't been, you know, fantastic, but I think we're coming right. These guys have a lot of experience for this time of the year, and while the conditions tonight now are a little bit difficult, I think we're right for it, you know.
It's a big day for Galway, and we want to drive on from last Saturday evening. You know, we did very well down in Ennis, but you know, a lot of people are making a big deal about Galway's poor championship record against Cork, but they didn't have a good one against Clare either, and it didn't stop us from winning last Saturday evening. You know, I'm hoping our players will produce another high-intensity performance that's highlighted by another savage work ethic, and the result will take care of itself after that.
There's no chance, is there, that last year's defeat to Cork in this stadium is still hanging in the back of some of their minds?
Look, last year is last year. This is a new management, a new team and a new campaign, and none of us are responsible collectively for what happened in 2008. So it's a new mission, and we're approaching this game in a very positive frame of mind.
Yeah, going into this game, as John McIntyre said, at the positive frame of mind, Michael Duignan, that's what they will need, obviously, against Cork.
Yeah, they will. But without sitting on defence, I think this is a very, very difficult game to call. Dennis Walsh said it there in the interview. Cork, they against Tipperary when they played well, blew them away in the first 20 minutes. But then Cork came back into it. The Offaly game, they struggled for periods against Offaly. They did what they had to do. Pat Horgan came on. Ironically, when Ben O'Connor got injured, who's a key man for them, and he scored 2-5 when he came on, and Isaki got to 2 goals. So that'll give them a bit of confidence because they've been relying far too heavily on Ben O'Connor over the last couple of years. So you'd like to think Cork are improving. The sounds coming out of camp are very, very positive. But I just have a feeling that Galway might just have the legs on them, and they'll get the ball into the full forward line quick early. I wouldn't like to see Galway running with the ball. It's a habit that they've had over the years of running with the ball. I think if they isolate the 2 lads inside, Hayes and Canning, move the ball quick, and if they still have the legs in the last 20 minutes, then they can run with it.
Ger, just let me bring you back to that game, Galway against Clare the last day, because going into that match, we were talking about that match in advance, we were saying this will be a sticky one for Galway. They lost the last time they played down in Ennis against Clare in the championship, etc. and so forth. And then they beat Clare very handy. What's the view in Clare about that particular result?
I've never seen Clare people so despondent or even angry after the game after last Sunday night. Now they got a huge fill-up on Wednesday night because the under-21 performed absolutely brilliantly. But and now Paul alluded already to the fact that Galway weren't scoring enough, and he's dead right.
Yes.
Because their 2 main men, Joe Canning, and we know Joe so well, hasn't performed this year the same way as he performed last year, but he's in Thurles tonight and he's different.
Yes.
But Damien Hayes, whom we just saw there, like, Damien is a fantastic player. When he's on his game, he's almost unstoppable. Now, this year, he hasn't been doing it so far. He's scored 2 points altogether.
Fellas like Damien and Joe Canning, they've had a long, hard year, with club championship for toughness. Do you think that's a factor in it?
That is a factor with Damien, but also if Damien doesn't make a good start.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make a good start to the game, he seems to fade out. But he usually plays great in Thurles. Look at the way he plays for Portumna in Thurles. He's absolutely brilliant.
I think a lot of the time, Jared, but I think he plays too far away from Canning.
Yes.
Like in the club, if you watch them, Canning is on his shoulder, and Hayes is on Canning's shoulder. They have a telepathic understanding. At County, he goes running all over the field, and I think it takes from his game.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
In fairness to Canning, he had a good game against Kilkenny.
But they don't
play as close to each other,
or they don't get away with
the same link.
The space they get
because they have the same space, which is a factor as well. They have the same space. But if those 2 link up together tonight, it'll be big trouble for the Cork.
I think he's more selfish even in the club games where he puts his heads down and goes for the goal. Maybe in the county games he's maybe that far off from goal, as Michael said, and he's looking to pass it or take the harder shot. Maybe than in the club game he might be closer to the goal.
But he needs to be close to goal, you see, Paul, because he hasn't a great shot. He needs to be very, very close to goal. Not
he's very left-sided as well.
He's very, very one-sided, and he'll just hit the ball up in the air. Now, on a wet like tonight, that'd be no good. So he needs to stay close to the goal.
All right, let's see what happens. We're going to take a short break here on the Saturday Game Live. We're back with more in our build-up to Cork and Galway right after that.
Hand pass to Ben O'Connor. Looking for enough room. Gets enough room. Gets enough accuracy on it as well. And Cork take the lead. It's all over. And Cork are the All-Ireland hurling champions for 1999.
The art of hurling.
He's got him eating out of his hand.
RTE Sport, proud sponsors of the GAA Hurling Championship.
This 9 times there's a murder on the track.
We're off.
Watch Horatio rein in the criminals. Make time for CSI Miami, and if you can't,
make time.
Wednesday at 9 on RTE 2.
It's all about what you value. Value time.
Value family.
Value
Value the great outdoors. Value festivals.
value for money.
Go now on a great value break in Ireland. It's all here at discoverireland.ie/special offers. Supported by Fulcher Ireland.
You know, cutting your carbon number can make a world of difference and save you money. So when there's good drying out, why not skip the tumble dryer? It'll shrink your energy bills, not your jumper. Find your carbon number and easy ways to save up to €500 when you visit change.ie. Cut carbon. Cut costs.
292 late nights. One long shot. An international bestseller. Over 500,000 books delivered every year. En poste. Do more.
greatest hits.
Suzanne,
The finest songs from one of the greatest songwriters of all time.
near the river.
All his classics on one album.
Everybody knows. First,
Leonard Cohen,
we take man.
Greatest Hits. Out now.
Towards goal lane it comes, battling with Conor O'Donovan. Lane, a goal! Galway complete a fabulous 2 in a row while retaining their title.
And back here on the Saturday Game Live, we're looking forward to this hurling championship clash between Cork and Galway. Let's hear from our commentary team at Semple Stadium in Thurles, and this evening they are Ger Canning and Donal O'Grady.
Thanks very much indeed, Michael. Cork announced their team on Thursday and were probably keeping their fingers crossed that injury to Ben O'Connor wouldn't force his withdrawal. As it happens, he plays, but cornerback Shane Murphy is out with a hand injury. He's replaced tonight by Conor O'Sullivan. Other changes since the last round see John Gardner and Pat Horgan return, to the exclusion of Graham Callanan and Tig Og Murphy. Galway's 1 enforced change shows Ger Farragher in for the misfortunate Adrian Cullinan, who damaged his knee in Cusack Park. Owen Lynch has been given the number 7 shirt, and it'll be curious to see how the restructuring affects John McIntyre's team. His side, with John Lee outstanding at centre-back, has scored 4 goals and 38 points in the last 2 matches, with Niall Healy contributing 2-4 from play. Let's now take a closer look at the teams for tonight's last of the qualifiers with Donal O'Grady. And we're starting, Donal, with Cork and goalkeeper Donal O'Cusack.
Well, Cusack, of course, very, very experienced, and a bit of a general in the back then as well, and you know, is good to take short puck outs.
It's a big test for the full back line.
Yeah, full back line. Conor Sullivan comes in, not very experienced at this level, and you know, I was thought that maybe Brian Murphy would have been brought in and Shane O'Neill would have switched over, but they've gone for Conor on the left.
120 championship appearance in the half back line.
Well, I mean, the talking point here is I don't think that John Gardner's going to probably line out here. He'll probably switch into midfield with Tom Kenny, but you know, Ronan Curran needs to up his game as well. Hasn't played that well in the first half, particularly of matches that they've played.
Well, whoever is there, Jerry O'Connor will certainly be playing.
Well, Jerry will be midfield and will be hoping to bring his running game to this game, and Tom Kenny will probably operate a right half back.
What about the much criticised half forward line?
Well, big question marks I think over Park Cronin. Flits in and out of the game, does some wonderful things, but I think he'll have to sustain it tonight.
And of course Asaki is there at full forward.
Yeah, the new white hope, so to speak, for Cork. I mean, depend on the supply, of course, and Pat Horgan coming in, having been impressive in the second half against Offaly.
Let's switch over to Galway now, and their number 1, that's Colm Callanan.
Well, Callanan is making a reputation as being a very, very safe keeper and did very well last Saturday night.
Well, thankfully Ollie Canning is able to start in the full back line at left cornerback.
Ollie was injured last week, but he makes a return and is playing very, very solid at left half, or left cornerback. Damien Joyce, of course, in the right corner will probably play in the half line.
Well, as we've heard, a change has been required in the half back line.
Yeah, a big change here. Owen Lynch dropping back from midfield, and you know, this could affect the balance of the play, and I expect Owen maybe to turn out a right half back with Damien Joyce on the left.
Midfield could be interesting, Donal.
Yeah, well, you know, Kevin Hines has played very, very solid for Galway. Stands in the middle of the field and works around the middle, and Ger Farragher coming in, you know, normally known maybe as a forward, can play very, very well, but you know, his temperament is suspect at times.
As we've seen so far, it's a hard-working half forward line.
Yeah, this half forward line operates out deep in the middle of the field, and when they turn, they run at the players, and Donnan is a good runner, not in the traditional mode of a centre forward, but is very effective.
And of course the dangerous threesome are in action once again.
Well, we said it all about Joe Canning already. Needs good supply. Wasn't that active off the ball last week against Clare, nor was Niall Healy or Damien Hayes. Damien struggling a bit for form at the moment, but if they get a good run onto the ball as well, they can be devastating.
Thanks, Donal. Well, just a short while to go now before Cork and Galway do battle. The prize for the winner, a quarter-final place against Waterford. In the meantime, back to Michael.
There is Ger in about 6 minutes in actual fact. Let's come back to that Cork team. Ger, briefly, Ben O'Connor, of course, is one of those players on that current Cork team, just such a servant to Cork hurling. Need him tonight?
Oh, badly need him tonight, because in every time the Cork have really won big games, Ben is usually the man who drags them through the games. You know, I remember over against Clare when they were 5 points down.
Galway as well in the past.
He has done damage to every team.
Yes, we all vote for that.
He's the one player you'd say you'd nominate for a position in any team going back through any decades. Now, if you have a hamstring injury, and everybody here has had a hamstring injury, the worst night possible is a slippery night. And so his hamstring will be really, really tested, and the big question is, will he finish the game? At least with Horgan in there, he may not have to go all over the field taking the frees tonight, because Horgan is a very, very good free taker, but Ben is central to Cork. He's absolutely central.
Michael Duignan, you just want to take a look at the Cork full back, because of course the Rock was there for so many years and not in the current setup. Newman played well the last day, but you think there's still a test ahead of him?
Well, I think he played very well against Tip on Michael Webster, who's a big, strong, physical sort of player, you know, but maybe not a big scoring threat. But the last day against Offaly, Shane Dooley in the first 20 minutes scored 1-2 off him, looked really dangerous, and then hurt his back coming up to half time. And just, you know, he slipped him fairly easily for a few scores. Now, Joe Canning is obviously going to be very, very dangerous, or maybe more dangerous. So that'll be a big question mark. We'll wait and see how he gets on.
National anthem coming up at Semple Stadium, and Thurles next. Then it's the big game.
We're about to commence the 31st Championship meeting of Cork and Galway. And Galway's record here is poor. They've won just 4 of the previous 30 games between the counties in the All-Ireland Championship as we wait for the anthem to be played. Galway's last win here being in the 2002 qualifier by 21 points to 1-9. Ollie Canning was playing left corner back in that game. We pause now for our Onavian. So we're set for the last of the hurling qualifiers. Cork against Galway, coming to you live from Thurles, from Semple Stadium here. And Galway's record may be bad against Cork. This match to be handled by Brian Gavin of Offaly. But last Saturday their record going into the Clare game also read rather poorly. Played 11, won only 2. We know what happened then. Let's see what happens here. 12 months ago it was a thrilling match. Off they go then, and it is Galway playing from left to right in the first half, which means they've got a little breeze. The rain has eased. It was raining all the way through the first match here. Won by Limerick, just about, defeating a very gallant Laois team. Straight away that clearance by Ronan Curran, up here towards Timmy McCarthy. Hounded there by Damien Joyce, who seems to have moved out to right half back in a switch with Fergal Moore. Linesmen in charge here tonight, Johnny Ryan and Dennis Richardson.
That's right, and good chance by Timmy McCarthy last there. Should have gone down wet night, 2 hands in the hurley and made sure that one. And instead of the Cork having the ball up in the left corner forward, chance for Joe Canning to start off now with the sideline.
Well, we know what he can do. 45 metres out, it's going left. So just miscuing the first one that's been presented to him, the big man from Portumna. Well, he's had a great last 12 months. What a performance here. Also remember the performance he put up against Kilkenny in this year's Leinster semi-final.
Timmy McCarthy now has a height advantage over Damien Joyce, and I'm surprised that Cork went down the other wing where there's the very tall old Lynch.
And it was Lynch who was under that one. Fouled. It's interesting how Damien Hayes has gone into full forward, and Joe Canning's come out to top of the right. This free will be taken some 65 metres from his own goal by the aforementioned Joe Canning. Comes out for everything. The mist begins to fall again. One of those nights. Brawley's up behind the goal away to our right, the town end. Big crowd at Semple Stadium. So having put the sideline wide, he takes this free and puts this one right between the posts. First of the night for Joe Canning. Really good start.
Well, it just goes to show, Ger, that Cork can't give away anything around the middle of the field or even in their half forward end, because Joe will punish it. Excellent, well struck, and he stays out in the half line now instead of going back in to cover Sean O'Halpine.
Two teams know one another terribly, terribly well. That's missed by Ger Farragher there. John Lee pressurised immediately. Cork will have seen the tape from last week's match and realised the extent to which John Lee dominated his patch in Cusack Park. Damien Joyce across the face here, going to it immediately, taking it away neatly, getting it as far as Ronan Curran, up in towards Asaki O'Halpine, doesn't take it however, back to help out Fergal Moore, on to Damien Joyce, hooked well there by Kieran Murphy, still the pressure is applied. Moore again, back down towards Ollie Canning this time. Forward once again there by Joe Canning, on as far as Damien Hayes. Portumna players combining. Damien Hayes shooting this one and putting it over the bar. That's a great start for him. A little jump for joy after he put that one over. Well, he'd been disappointed, I'm sure, with the way his scoring rate had let him down in the last couple of matches, but he's off to a flyer here, and Galway lead by 2 points to no score.
And for the player struggling with form, Joe, that's a great opening for him. Stayed in full forward when Joe Canning stayed out around the middle because of that free, and Zinnon Cadigan and gave him that little vital yard of space, and with his pace he can go away from the players. Joe Canning operating right corner forward now, and Shane O'Neill has switched corners to pick him up.
That's an interesting switch in the last couple of minutes there made by Cork. Much more experienced player Shane O'Neill than the man in the other quarter, Conor O'Sullivan. Galway come again, this time stopped however. Jerry O'Connor hand passing it forward here towards Sean O'Halpine. Something of a doubt earlier in the week because of a hamstring trouble. On towards Asaki, bounces down to Kieran Murphy. Cork in with a scoring chance here. Tight enough angle, looked around first of all before having the shot himself and putting it over. A real confidence booster that for the Sars player. 2 points to 1. Cork's opening score then coming in the 4th minute. And Kieran Murphy had a little look around to see just was there anything else on. Had the shot himself. Good score.
Yeah, highly intelligent player, Ger. Stayed out there, and when the ball broke, he took the right option, stuck it over the bar.
From the puck out, straight there towards Angus Callanan. Very hard-working players on that half-forward line. Inside towards Damien Hayes. Lovely skill. Over his right shoulder, looks to the referee. The referee says you missed. It was a fair challenge. Ball went wide. But it's a potentially very, very lethal inside forward line of Hayes, Canning and Healy. The only one of them we haven't seen in action so far has been Niall Healy.
And if you watch there, Ger, the Galway half forward lines, they drop way back, way out for the puck out, so that when they win the ball there's plenty of space between them and the full forward line.
And this one is won by John Lee. On it goes again towards Andy Smith. It's all Galway, and Andy Smith with the shot, and he's put it over the bar. The opening 3 points for Galway, all scored by Portumna players back on the patch where they won the All-Ireland semi-final against Ballyhale Shamrocks back in February in a marvellous match. Cork's puck out then. They tried to win it once again then. It was towards John Gardner. Didn't make it, however. And it is the eagerness and anticipation of Galway that's everywhere. This time, Andy Smith, however, blown up for a foul. And it's going to be a free to Cork. Trying to shrug off the attentions there of Tom Kenny, who switched back to right half back. John Gardner here ready to take this free in a moment. Has moved into midfield. Here he is. And he's put it wide. Well, he'll be greatly disappointed with that. It's Gardner and Jerry O'Connor in midfield. Colm Callanan pucking it out. Targeting Joe Canning once again. Why not? He gets it, strikes it, but that one has gone away to the right. And a missed opportunity. Well, already that's 3 wides for Galway.
Well, Shane O'Neill is an excellent cornerback, but people say that if he has any weaknesses that he's not that comfortable under the high ball, and obviously it is a strategy by Galway to play Joe Canning in the corner and loft all the puck outs down to him. Excellent catch, but he should have taken a few steps and steadied himself up.
It's interesting that Brian Murphy has rejoined the Cork panel in the last couple of weeks. Top cornerback, of course, former All-Star. Here comes Shane O'Neill once again. Floated in this time towards Kieran Murphy, competing there with Ollie Canning, gets the stick to it, only out as far as Park Cronin, released outside towards Ben O'Connor once again. Ben O'Connor with his first shot and his first point. Great strike by Ben O'Connor, and he's made it 3 points to 2. Well, when he's in form, he's almost half a Cork forward line on his own. Wonderful strike, great score.
And a great Park Cronin came onto the break very quickly there, and he'll have to do a lot more of that for Cork if they'd hope to win.
Oh. Cork under pressure once again. Conor O'Sullivan getting it away out here. Out of danger by Owen Cadogan, the Douglas player. Timmy McCarthy one-handed, leaving it there behind for Damien Joyce. Pressure immediately applied. Once again it's Ben O'Connor. Fine shot. They're level. 2 in a row for Ben O'Connor, and it's Cork 3, Galway 3. 8 minutes are gone at Semple Stadium. The live action tonight in the Saturday game, last of the qualifiers. Great score.
Well, Adrian Cullinan, of course, who was injured last Saturday night, would have been designated to man mark Ben O'Connor. I felt that Owen Lynch might have operated right half back, and Damien Joyce would be a niftier type of player to mark on Ben, but they've stayed as they were selected, and Owen Lynch lost Ben O'Connor there, and that's an excellent score as well.
And a yellow card for John Lee. Not the best of starts where he's concerned this week. Man of the match 7 days ago. And Park Cronin also getting a yellow card in that little altercation. Ronan Carew, putting his own defence in serious pressure there. Damien Joyce trying to get it in. Forced out by Conor O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan, the number 18 for Cork, picked up here by Niall Healy. Forced out over towards the sideline. There was a bit of pushing going on, and the referee decides it's going to be a free. That's not in the rules. So a free to Galway, and a chance for them to apply further pressure on that Cork goal. Referee Brian Gavin not standing for any kind of nonsense. Very well respected Offaly official who's been in charge of the recent Ulster hurling final between Antrim and Down, and also the Munster match Waterford against Limerick in the replay here. Joe Canning ready to take this. Very, very acute angle. Nothing, it seems, is beyond him, however. And that is another beauty. An almost impossible angle for most players, but not for Joe Canning, who makes it 4 points to 3. This is the incident that happened earlier on there, bottom of the screen there, between the two players, Park Cronin and John Lee. Certainly saw John Lee get a yellow card. I think Park Cronin got one as well. The mist continues to pour down here. The heart of County Tipperary as Angus Callan takes it away again for Galway. Looking for another opportunity. Well, when you've got great players inside like Hayes, Canning and Healy, those are very high-risk shots. When they don't work out, you're not exactly the biggest hero.
Well, Ger, we've made that point before in commentary. I mean, the thing is, when you have an inside line like Joe Canning, Niall Healy and Damien Hayes, you should try and knock the ball into space and let them run onto it. Going for hidden hope balls from out the field is a disadvantage to your team.
Once again, the pressure applied. Ger Farragher this time. Outside to Cyril Donnellan. Had a great first half in particular against Clare. Again, the angle shot. Goalkeeper watches it. Backs make sure they do their job. Harmlessly wide once again. And the Galway wides mount up a little. That's number 5.
That's an incredible tally within 10 or 11 minutes, Jared. 5 wides and all struck from long range, so Galway will have to change their tactics and get the ball in low.
Still only a point between them. Cork already, it seems, very heavily reliant on Ben O'Connor's prowess on the half forward line to get the opportunities. This is twin brother Jerry. That time John Gardner firing it in. Asaki O'Halpin's in there after it. Been marked by Shane Cavan in this match. Breaks out once again to another man who scored for Cork already, Kieran Murphy, over his left shoulder. He really has his eye in. That's a second for Kieran Murphy, and he's tied it up. 4 points apiece. Fraggy doing the business. Good score.
Turned very well away from the tacklers there. And this guy seldom does anything wrong with the ball. He always takes the right option. Nothing on there, no support. Has to do himself, and a lovely shot over the shoulder. Great score.
Well, he hasn't always been first choice, that's for certain. This time, Jerry O'Connor trying to get it away, but it's Ger Farrell who comes in. Momentum carries him. Ball out over the line. Line ball's going to be to Cork. Settling down into a very interesting match. By virtue of the way in which things have worked out, the winner here will know who they're playing in the quarterfinals next weekend. That'll be Waterford. Cut off well there by Shane O'Neill. Ger Farragher takes it down to himself. Plenty of time, good composure. Straight to Gardner, however. Back in once more. Asaki beaten in his race for possession by Shane Kavanagh, but they battle back. Horgan's there, and that's over the bar. Pat Horgan, his first. Cork lead, 5-4. Well, any kind of error like that, when the pressure is applied on Shane Kavanagh and the rest of the Galway backs, and Cork could be in to penalise them. This is one that should have been caught, should have been cleared, was left behind, fumbled, won back by Pat Horgan, his first point.
And Cork inside line out, having the better things at the moment, so Cork should try and play as much ball in there as they can.
Problem has been in that half forward line. It's not always functioning as it might, as Ollie Canning gets it away up here as far as Niall Healy. Haven't seen much of him so far. That's blocked down well there by Sean O'Halpine, playing tonight for Cork for the 50th time of the championship. Carried out over the line, went off the legs of Owen Lynch. Line ball to Cork. So a big occasion for Sean O'Halpine. There was a worry about him earlier in the week about an injury sustained last weekend in training. He started very prominently here. This is a cross to the man on the left wing, Timmy McCarthy. Inside towards Asaki O'Halpine, trying to get possession. Back there to help out. Fergal Moore sweeping behind the other defenders. O'Halpine under pressure from Angus Callanan. In came Ronan Curran. And the linesman signalling that it's going to be Galway's line ball. Two teams know one another terribly, terribly well. Quite a few of the younger players, and both teams have met in minor and under 21 championship matches in recent years. There's been very, very little between them.
Well, Ger Farragher has a big reputation from sideline balls, and I know Joe Canning has gone right into the edge of the square.
Oh, look at that. Superb. Well covered by Shane O'Neill. Some wonderful skill in this match. Ben O'Connor challenging there. Everybody claiming it. Linesman decides, Johnny Ryan on the far side from Tipperary, that it went off the Galway wing back. So a line ball once again to Cork. But that was some sideline cut there by Ger Farragher. Nearer to goal, we've seen him put those over the bar. Let's see the tactic there, in towards Big Joe Canning.
Yeah, and I think in a night like this, Joe might have been better off putting his hurley to the ball with both hands and trying to bring it down rather than trying to catch it under pressure.
That wasn't a terribly well struck line ball by Ben O'Connor. Oh, the Galway player has stepped out over the line. Owen Lynch disgusted with that decision. Well, we've seen a few interesting calls this season on that side of the field, and one of them happened in the league final, you may remember, a goal for Kilkenny that was ruled out when a player was out over the side, Henry Shefflin.
Well, big bonus for Cork there, because Ben O'Connor had struck it straight up to his man, and Owen Lynch, I suppose, must have felt he had plenty of time to clear this one, and must have stepped over the line, and Johnny Ryan was very quick in putting up the flag. It could be fairly controversial if Ben O'Connor can score from this or sends it across, and Cork end up getting a goal.
Or win by a point. Ben O'Connor with 2 points so far. We've seen what Joe Canning can do. We've seen what Farragher can do from sideline cuts. There's the there's the Ben O'Connor effort. Not as he wanted it, however. Well wide of the target. Cork second wide, Galway with 5. Quick puck out all the way down towards Joe Canning, battling there with Shane O'Neill, runs on towards Owen Cadigan. Oh! Tripped, referee says out you come. Cadigan was man of the match against Tipperary here. First round of the Munster Championship. Lynch blocks it, doesn't take it away. Ben O'Connor has it, supported here by Pa Cronin. Inside towards Asaki, does well to keep it in play. Shane Cavan had almost given up on it. It's Asaki, Has he got the subtlety now to get it around? Shane Kavanagh. Heavy conditions over the end line. It's got to be a 65 to Cork. Well, good persistence there by the big man Asaki O'Halpine. Lost it, went after it again, and in the end I think Shane Kavanagh was pretty happy to see that one fly out over the end line. And they'll face whatever perils will come from the resultant 65.
Yeah, well, Joe, that's where the loss of Adrian Cullinane stands out there, because he's a very adept player at coming in and picking up the breaks, and did that very well against Clare, and he'll be a big loss. Owen Lynch doesn't quite have the that ability, and Cullinane would have got that ball away for Galway field.
John Gardner missed a free earlier on. He misses this one as well. So 2 wides for John, who's not too pleased with himself. 18 minutes are gone. Cork marginally in front by 5 points to 4.
And it's normally been O'Connor take the 65 to Cork, but he had a number of unsuccessful attempts against Offaly in the last match. John Gardner took over and scored them, but they may see Ben going back over to take them again.
Right now they're seeing Tom Kenny come out of the half back line here, wearing number 8. Up there towards Kieran Murphy, who started really well against Ollie Canning. Great ball across to John Gardner, who can cast aside the 2 misses from Freeze and get a point here. His first of the match. And Cork lead by 2. Well, this was where Kieran Murphy really battled hard against no less a man than Ollie Canning. Found a man in space. That man was Gardner, and the point resulted.
Yeah, great point there, and as I said earlier, Kieran Murphy very good to look around and take the right options.
Ball bounces down off the hands of Ronan Curran, only as far as Farragher. He left it behind. Back once again it comes towards Ben O'Connor. This time cut out by Ollie Canning. Keeping a very close eye on Kieran Murphy. Shortens the grip on the stick across towards Kevin Hines. Haven't seen much of him so far. Really dominated last Saturday night in Ennis. Back to John Lee. Huge one down towards Damien Hayes. Got an early point in the match. Nothing since. No ball has been going into the inside forward line with any kind of regularity, however, because Cork have won battles, key battles elsewhere, and Damien Hayes in his frustration knocks it away. It's going to be a free at the end of all of this to Cork. Wrestling Owen Cadigan. Referee had taken the whistle to his lips. John.
Yeah, I think that free was on Cyril Donnan early on. He just gave Owen Cadigan a little pull before the ball broke, and Damien Hayes, I think, was a bit nonplussed. He had done nothing wrong, but the free had already been given.
It's John Gardner to take it. Into space, batted out by Kevin Hines, out as far as Angus Callanan. Quick rapid ball going in, partly blocked there by Shane O'Neill. Cadigan, a quick readjustment of his positioning, does well. Not used to playing full back, helped out here. It was Ronan Curran who was coming to his assistance. Foul committed on him, free out to Cork. Well, that's where he was being held back there by Damien Hayes. Galway quickly adjusting to change surroundings this week. Much tighter pitch in Cusack Park. Big, wide, expansive area here in Semple Stadium.
20 minutes gone, Ger, and Cork lead by 2 points, and the defence are on top, particularly the full back line, so they'll be very pleased with the first 20 minutes.
As Donald O'Cusack floats it in here once again. Timmy McCarthy leaving it here for Kieran Murphy without the stick, and passing it into the path of Jerry O'Connor, and O'Connor's shot has gone several metres to the left of his target. Very, very mobile player, Jerry O'Connor, an absolute bundle of energy.
Yeah, but he took the wrong option there, Ger. He was a bit under pressure. Maybe he'd been better off if he just slipped the ball across the 20-metre line and hoped that one of the inside forwards would get onto it, because Pat Horgan and Isaac O'Halpine have been doing quite well.
Well, all of the puck-outs are going down that direction. This time Angus Callanan has it. Slipping it inside here. That time Andy Smith. Challenged there by Tom Kenny. Still Angus Callanan hand-passing it outside. Intercepted. Jerry O'Connor comes, balances it on his stick. Almost facing his own goal, linking up with Donald O'Cusack. They've so much confidence in their goalkeeper. One of the players they really trust in defence. Out as far as Ben O'Connor. And Ben O'Connor is tugged back. Owen Lynch, I think, the offender in this instance. And it's going to be a free out for Cork, just outside their own 65-metre line. Owen Lynch, number 7. Ben O'Connor with 2 points already in the match from play, taking over the free-taking duties from John Gardner. Sakio Halpin waiting for something to come his way.
And a change of free taker now. Ben O'Connor has taken this free instead of John Gardner.
I think it was on the cards. It's a huge one in, but Callan does really well. Keeps his composure. Out as far as Angus Callan, his namesake. Down by Shonogo Halpin. Competing for it there was Hines, leaving it behind. Breaks forward as far as Owen Lynch. Lynch with the clearance. It's 1 against 3, however. But that one, Cyril Donnellan, does well initially. Then in the end leaves it behind to Jerry O'Connor. Making progress without the stick. And there's correction, he has a stick. Another stick went missing from somebody else. And the referee anyway saw too many twists and turns and steps taken by Jerry O'Connor, and it's going to be a free out for Galway.
And I think, Ger, to be fair to him there, I think what happened was that he was looking at Park Cronin, but a Cork hurley carrier had come on at the wrong time, and it looked as if he was being picked up by a Galway player, because the vests are very similar. And Jerry, just about to pass the ball to him, caught it and turned around and lost it then.
So Galway 2 points behind, and Joe Canning's come out to take this inside his own 65-metre line. Big, huge one. Fabulous strike by Joe Canning, and a third pointed free by him. So it's 6 points to 5. Cork thinking, I think, for a moment there about taking a quick puck out. Didn't materialise. Landing down towards Kieran Murphy. Joe Canning is still there, hasn't gone back in just yet. Niall Healy couldn't contain it. Swiftly back out once again it comes towards Jerry O'Connor. Challenged there by Ger Farragher. Kept alive by Timmy McCarthy in this near side. Competing for it as well, Damien Joyce. Joyce trying to get the better of Timmy McCarthy, who's down injured. John Lee's shot intercepted. Shonogo Halpin back. Ollie Canning racing out for it here. Beaten for it there by Pat Horgan. It breaks across there towards Andy Smith. Smith of Portumna. All this while Timmy McCarthy down on this near side of the field receiving some attention. Referee blows his whistle. Free to Galway. Well, the physio and I think the doc is in there as well. Dr. Con Murphy in to attend to Timmy McCarthy. This is what happened to him. Just came a cropper.
Yeah, he may have turned his ankle there, Jerry. I'm not sure, not slipping. Declan O'Sullivan, the physio, looking after him, and Dr. Con Murphy. But as the play went on, then Patrick Horgan, a little innocuous pull on one of the Galway players coming out, and Joe Canning now with another chance to stick the ball over the bar and level proceedings. And Galway, from being, well held in their forward line, are now a chance to equalise the game.
Well, it's a great atmosphere at Semple Stadium. Big crowd. Rain has eased. Joe Canning is ready again. 3 so far. Again, travelling beautifully and over the bar. Another flawless finish by a fine young hurler. And the teams are level at 6 points apiece. 25, nearly 26 minutes are gone.
And Joe, these are all points. 4 points he scored from frees. Hasn't been in the game that well, and all these frees were committed out around the middle of the field, so you think that Cork would have learned from the first one.
The only points scored from play for Galway so far, Damien Hayes and Andy Smith. The puck out towards Ben O'Connor once again, Cork's main target man. Racing onto it here is Tom Kenny, trying to get away there from Andy Smith. Back it goes towards Ronan Curran. To send it forward, John Lee bats it back out to Ger Farragher, ready to take off. Slipped out into the corner once again. Quick little turn here by Niall Healy, trying to get by his man, who is Conor O'Sullivan, the young SARS player. Good little block on it. Comes once again to Jerry O'Connor. Back once more. In it goes towards Pat Horgan. Working, battling there, trying to get away from the attentions of a couple of Galway players. One of them was Fergal Moore. It's still Moore there, hands and knees, trying to get the ball away out of the middle of the park. Really congested, and the referee in the end deciding to end the uncertainty by throwing it in. Bit of pushing and shoving, but nothing more than that. the end of this match, one of the top teams in the country is going to be out of the championship before we even reach the quarter-final stage. Dennis Walsh, an All-Ireland medal winner with Cork twice. Very, very good player, and now turning it to a very, very good manager as well. This Cork team with a lot of players, a lot of experience. From John McIntyre's point of view, it's building the whole time. A new Galway side, back on a patch where he once played at centre-half back for Tipperary, back in the 80s. Still there's uncertainty. Kicked forward in the end by Joe Canning, spoon forward by Cyril Donlan, up as far as Niall Healy, looking to give Galway the lead again. A real hit and hope one. Goalkeeper comes, nobody near him to disturb his concentration, at least not initially. Damien Hayes made up a lot of ground. Owen Lynch comes across, breaks it down beyond Canning, picked up by Ger Farragher, and the stick there going in, the foul committed. Referee with the notebook out.
Yeah, and Ger, if I was being critical of Cork there, when Stonlow Cusick got that ball, not one player moved to the sideline in any part of the pitch to try and take the puck out. He was left to hit down at 50-50, and Galway swept that up. Another silly free, and another chance for Joe to put another notch on his belt, so to speak.
Well, this is even nearer than the ones he managed already. He's got 4 out of Galway's tally of 6. Deep in concentration. Very centrally positioned, and the usual accuracy, the usual flawless finish. 5 points for Joe Canning, and Galway lead 7-6. He's a happy young follower.
And Cork are getting no value whatsoever for the frees. It's not as if they're tackling hard. They're all little innocuous pulls or pushes, and you know, discipline is one of the main planks of any victory, and Cork have given away now 5 silly frees in the middle of the field, and Galway have grabbed them up with enthusiasm.
And Cork tried to win their own puck out here, but it's going to be a throw by the linesman at the end of all of that. The man they were targeting was the recovered Timmy McCarthy. Oh, going to have to throw it in again. Well, the referee and linesman eventually decided it is going to be Cork's ball. Linesman Dennis Richardson from Limerick. Ben O'Connor ready to cut this one in, maybe towards the tall Asaki O'Halpine. He's 6'7" tall. Never reached him, or anybody else. John Lee. Well, the linesman deciding it went off a Cork player. Well, Ger Farragher once again ready to send a jet in the air. Good cut by the Castlegar player. It's a beauty. 40 metres out from the Cork goal. Cadigan does well, one-handed away into the centre. Ben O'Connor, twinkle toes, picks it, goes forward. They race after him. Still can't get to him, however. Nicely back for Sean O'Halpine. Darts away from the challenge of John Lee and sends it over the bar. Sean O'Halpine, on the night he plays for Cork for the 50th time, gets his first point of the match and ties up the game at 7 points apiece. Set up beautifully for him here by Ben O'Connor. Lovely twist and turn by O'Halpine. That's a great score.
Yeah, great support play from Sean Hogan. He indicated from Ben that he wanted it in space, and he got it, stuck it over the bar.
At the other end, it is Cyril Donlan who fires in the shot from quite a distance out. A good 50 metres out. Hasn't scored so far in the match, nor Angus Callanan, but they're doing a lot of valuable work in and around the middle third of the pitch. This time a short puck out works out as far as Shane O'Neill. Up towards Timmy McCarthy. They tried to break the stranglehold of Cork, of Galway's half-back line, and Joe Canning's back there helping out. Sure, questions will be asked, what's he doing back there? Here comes Jerry O'Connor, stepped out over the line. Still in play, the linesman has decided, but the referee eventually decides there was a chop, and it's going to be a free, and it's a free to Galway. Cork's discipline letting them down. Let's watch it again here. Jerry O'Connor appeared to be out over the line at that particular stage, and then the referee pointed to a chop.
Well, yeah, he definitely chopped him down, and but Shane O'Neill might have been better off if he just hit the ball back up into the corner forward position, because he was coming under pressure, had come out, and Jerry was coming against him, and 3 Galway players closed him down very quickly.
So Galway look to take the lead again if they can, with about 3 minutes to go to half time. Again, an absolute peach. 6 points for Joe Canning, 8 for Galway, 7 for Cork. Well, his free taking has been absolutely without a blemish.
Well, Gerard, it's easy enough to analyse the first half of this play. Lack of discipline by Cork have handed 6 scoreable frees to Joe Canning. He's put everyone over the bar and kept them in the game. From the team that their forward line, the much heralded forward line, is out of sorts with Galway and Cork are winning that battle, but 6 points and they're back in front.
Kieran Murphy setting it up there for Tom Kenny, and Tom Kenny's shot has gone wide. It was an opportunity. Hasn't scored so far, but he is operating back in the half-back line, picking up Andy Smith. So much for Dennis Walsh to consider, and for John McIntyre heading close to half-time. Not much to choose between the teams, but he will be concerned about the concession of those frees to Joe Canning. Can't keep on doing that if they hope to win this match. Galway coming forward again. That was Damien Joyce, and that's a wasted opportunity. And Galway's wides 7 so far against 5 for Cork. His team, John McIntyre's side, has created 16 scoring opportunities, only taken half of them. There'll be 2 minutes of injury time to be played. Cork, by comparison, have created 13 scoring chances and taken, as you can see, 7. That's a very poor puck out. Comes straight here towards Angus Callanan. And the linesman, flag raised immediately, saying ball over the line. John McIntyre queried it.
Yeah, well, the rule there, Gerard, is that your feet and your body can be over as long as the ball isn't. But Dennis Richardson put up the flag immediately. Obviously, he was in line at the time with the player, and the must have judged has gone over the line.
This to be taken by Sean O'Halpine, his team a point behind. Ger Farragher. Here's Angus Callanan to control, to try and take it at the Cork defence. In it goes once again towards Joe Canning. Great catch! That's a bit more like it. Oh, well saved by Donald Cusack. Back once again, and it's missed there by Niall Healy. First real moment of high drama in this match comes in the 35th minute. A great catch by Canning, a great save by Cusack, and it's missed in the end by Niall Healy at the other end. Cork breathe a sigh of relief. That's an absolute let-off. It comes out as far as Park Cronin. Can't take it, they wrestle. Galway have it. Owen Lynch tries to get away, and the referee is in to defuse it immediately. Well, what about this? High up into the air he went, got there ahead of Owen Cadigan. Now you thought goal on here. Well, it was a good height for Donald Cusack, but don't mistake it. It was a wonderful save also, and Niall Healy had the follow-up chance.
Yeah, maybe Niall Healy should have pulled it back into play. George was a very tight angle, and he wasn't going to score from there.
Well, the game gains in excitement. Kieran Fraggy Murphy, who's got 2 points so far in this match. Ben O'Connor with 2 from play as well.
But as you come to half-time, Ger, John McIntyre is going to be much more pleased than Dennis Walsh, because Cork have dominated the game, and yet Galway are a point up.
Galway's scores have been coming from frees, 6 from Joe Canning. I don't think any of the Cork scores has come from a free so far. Here comes Ollie Canning, or rather John Lee. Back out as far as Ollie Canning, and that is cleared. Touchdown there by Shane O'Neill. Again, the pressure is applied here by Niall Healy. Running on for it here is Damien Hayes, trying to float this one across, and he's put the ball wide. Maybe a hint of frustration in that particular action. The angle was almost impossible for him.
Yeah, but again, Ger, at the risk of repeating ourselves, you have Joe Canning in there, right, and he hasn't got that many chances. When you're going down the wing at full speed, pull it back across, and this is Joe's chance again. Great save from Donald Cusack.
Really was. Owen Lynch and Ger Farragher touch it back down in towards Cyril Donnellan. all the way back in beyond Owen-Cadogan. Out for the ball comes Donald O'Cusack, and the referee reaches for the whistle and blows for half-time. And a lot of the drama came in the last few minutes, but an interesting match. Joe Canning with 6-pointed frees so far, giving Galway a decided edge. Cork have got to be more disciplined all over the park, can't afford to give frees away any kind of distance out with Canning about. At the break, however, it is Galway who are shading it. Galway 8 points, Cork 7. Back to Michael.
Yeah, shading it in obviously a low-scoring game, but conditions at Thurles are obviously very slippy underfoot. Paul Flynn, that first half, I suppose, you know, we have to allow for the conditions. It wasn't kind of the game that we were expecting so far.
No, Michael, I think a lot of players will be changing boots at half-time. There's a lot of slipping going on, but you'd have to say, watching the first half, neither team have really got into a pattern. Galway have been very wasteful and shooting from silly positions, really, you know, out the field and on the wings. And it's after taking them 34.5 minutes to get Joe Canning in full forward. The first ball he gets, goal chance, and a great save from Donal Logue. But all in all, I think Galway will be kind of unhappy at half-time because they've had most of the play regarding score chances, and they're only a point ahead.
They'll be unhappy, I suppose, Joe, but at the same time, you know, Cork are a point down, and you'd still be pushing yourself now to pick a winner from this game so far.
Well, I'd agree with Donald there that Cork would be actually delighted, that Galway will be delighted. They've got 2 points in play. They seem to be playing with the wind. Cork don't seem to have realised there's a fella called Joe Canning playing who can score points from anywhere, from a place ball from anywhere. So the indiscipline of Cork, we have both half-back lines completely in charge. So there's very little open space, very little good forward play. It's a most disappointing game so far. Hopefully in the second half it'll improve a good deal. But, you know, as Paul says there, so where's the point in playing Joe Canning out around midfield? Get the ball inside when he's inside full forward. Not this silly ball they're trying to score from 60 or 70 yards out. 5 wides in the first 8 minutes for Galway. That's crazy. And Joe out the field. So they'll have to look at their tactics, and Galway will have to look at, or Cork will have to look at that discipline for the second half.
Michael Duignan, what did you make of that first half?
Well, I thought that the Galway had the frees, 6 points from frees. Cork no score from frees, and I think overall Galway will be very disappointed with the scoring chances that they missed.
All right, lads, thanks for that. We'll have more from the panel and further analysis in that first half right after this commercial break.
Art of hurling. What a shot! RTE Sport, proud sponsors of the GAA Hurling Championship.
We're here to save television.
Oh no. The best of Pods and Rods, Tuesday at 10:40 on RTE 2.
1759. To Arthur Guinness for 250 years. To Arthur.
To Arthur! To Arthur! To Martha! To Martha! To Falmer! To Barbas! To Lemons! To Parsnip! To bath time!
Join the worldwide celebration of a man named Arthur and a beer named Guinness.
Henry Shefflin talks about the last 15 minutes.
You get one chance at it, you know, when you're out there in Croke Park, you know, you get one opportunity. You have to be strong, you have to be on your toes, you have to be ready to go. You come to the part of the game, the men will stand up and take it by the scruff of the neck.
Lucas 8 Sport helps you go longer and stronger in the last 15 minutes.
Lucas 8 Sport gives me the energy to keep me going right to the end.
Lucas 8 Sport. Last longer, finish stronger.
Experience GAA coverage in a class of its own. From the writers that define hurling. In Championship, your dedicated GAA magazine, only in Monday's Irish Examiner.
Do you want a bank that comes highly recommended? Yeah? Then you should switch to Halifax.
Call us or drop into any branch today.
OK, at half-time in Thurles, this is how things stand between Cork and Galway. It's Galway 8 points, Cork 7 points. There's a check on the scores, and I suppose the name that stands out on that list so far, from a Galway point of view anyway, is Joe Canning. 6 points, all from frees, and some of them really long-distance frees in that first half. By the way, can I also mention too that in the first game at Thurles, just in case you missed that result, Limerick beat Laois 20 points to 114, the final score in that game. That means that Limerick now play Dublin in the quarterfinals. OK, now let's go back to the panel at this stage. And Paul Flynn, just to pick up on some of the play, like Ben O'Connor, we talked about Ben O'Connor before the match. Ben O'Connor has been so important to Cork, and he came into the hamstring injury. Ger was saying slippy pitch mightn't suit somebody carrying a bit of a hamstring injury. Nothing wrong with him so far.
No, you can't underestimate what Ben brings to the Cork team. He's obviously their main forward in every aspect of what it means. He looks for the ball, he carries the ball. He's also deadly accurate from play and from place balls, but he also brings other players into the game. On his runs, he's actually gone diagonally away from the goal, bringing Galway defenders with him and opening up space for other players. But he's absolutely, for a guy who's supposed to be injured, he's flying tonight. From
a Galway perspective, you as a full forward in your time, if you saw some of the balls that were being skited wide by Galway players, a fellow like Joe Canning, well, Joe wasn't always inside, but obviously the Galway forwards inside. It's
frustrating, and we were saying during watching the game, that it would drive you nuts standing inside, and you're hoping for quality ball. But the reality is any type of ball would do you as a forward as long as the ball was coming in. But some of the shots that are being taken by the Galway lads out the field would drive you nuts, particularly when you feel that on a wet night that any ball in around the goal could break and anything could come off it.
Kieran Murphy, Michael, has been playing very well for Cork. Got a couple of points himself. Also set up a good point for John Gardner. Has also, like Ben O'Connor, also been an important influence in this match.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent player. The first ball broke inside early in the game to him, and he could have went for a goal. He tapped it over the bar. But this is he's a very, very intelligent, maybe underrated hurler at times. But he gave here's wins a great ball, and I look across the field, and there hasn't been enough of that sort of play. Over to John Gardner and an easy point. Been very, very little open play in the game, apart from Kieran Murphy and Ben O'Connor up that right flank. I think they've caused a lot of trouble for Galway. But outside of that, backs have been on top all over the field, and the conditions are bad. But for two teams, it's a knockout championship game. There's a big game against Waterford for the winners, and a chance of playing Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final. They don't look to have that hunger that they want to go on and win an All-Ireland. And I'd be very disappointed, not so much with the game, because their conditions are bad, but with the attitude of the players, there's none of that drive and hunger that you'd expect at this level.
They seem to not kind of quite tuned into it yet, but nonetheless, I think as the second half progresses and fellas suddenly realise they're heading out of the championship, I suspect things are going to change.
Exactly, that's exactly what happened last year. The first half wasn't great last year either.
That's right, yeah.
It really opened up in the second half when people realised, hey, this is the bacon slicer is approaching.
It's getting closer. Yeah.
He's getting closer. So I had expected in the second half that it would improve an awful lot. But it's a very bad sign of a game when you look around and say, who's playing well? Who's playing well on either team? There is no real star on this team. There's no. If you were looking for the man of the match now, you'd struggle to pick out anybody.
Or major incidents to talk about, or things like that.
Because the intensity isn't there. It's like a round-robin game kind of. It doesn't look like one of these knockout games at all. And that can often happen, I think, on a Saturday evening, on a wet night. It takes players a long time to realise, hey, this is serious. But you can be sure that John McIntyre and Dennis Welsh and all the main players in the team will be reinforcing that.
The big talking about it the first half does, and any of us have been involved. Joe Canning, to me, he's not a wing forward, he's not a centre forward, he's a full forward. He's lethal around the goals. If he gets a chance, he's going to finish it. Putting him out in the right corner, and then Shane O'Neill goes out to him, the fastest defender probably in the country, who's going to beat him to any 50-50 ball, and they leave him there for 34 minutes. The only ball I think he got in his hand was about 30 yards from his own goals, back chasing us. When you have a player like Joe Canning, you don't want him running, chasing. There's plenty of lads that can do that, but there's nobody can do what Joe Canning can do.
Why move him, Michael? You should be playing to your strengths, really.
And you give the psychological advantage in Tyrone Cadigan, full-back. Because 2 years ago, these met in 2021, right? And Cadigan was centre-back and Joe was full forward. And Cadigan was playing brilliantly. Joe went out on him, and he absolutely cleaned Cadigan out of it. You see the one ball that came in between them when Joe was inside? Joe caught it. It was a brilliant save. We'll see it later on. A brilliant save from Cusick. It makes no sense. Hitting this high ball, aiming for points from 70 yards. Joe at the edge of the square, get the ball in, see how he does it on Cadigan. If that doesn't work, then try something else. But at least that should be plan A.
And Damien Hayes and the likes can pick the break up off,
off
Joe if he doesn't win.
Sure, Kenny, Michael was mentioning there, this being a landmark game, obviously for Sean O'Galhalpy, and he's marked with a point as well.
He has, he scores the odd one over the years, but 50 championship games, I suppose, is a phenomenal achievement. I'd say there's only a handful of players who have done it over the years, and but again, the feature here is Ben O'Connor. He travelled 30-40 yards to win the ball, and Paul was talking about his vision. sets off in the solo run, and what a lot of lads do there is to take a silly shot, but he has a look around, has the composure, and then again Sean Og shows his experience, steps inside and taps it over the bar, and that's very simple hurling, but it's amazing the amount of lads that can't do it, you know, the panic under pressure, whereas Ben just had to look up, flicked it inside, and Sean Og, you know, he doesn't do it that often over the years, but fantastic servant to Cork hurling, and doesn't look to be slowing up. He's having a great year again.
Another fantastic servant for the last 10 years has been their goalkeeper, John Lowe Cusack, pulled off a save from Joe Canning in that first half, Paul.
Yeah, fantastic save. You know, he's an ever-present there for the last 10 years, you said, and it's actually better he's getting. A couple of years ago, like, I mean, he was...
Would you have done anything different with this shot? Would you have expected to score?
I wouldn't have caught the There's a great catch, maybe a hint for free, Brian Gavin could have, but Joe went for power, and in fairness, he's only 14 yards out. Most times you probably would, you know, the power would do you, but just straight at him, not really straight at him, but he gets the hurley up really fast. In fairness, there's great reactions, and you know, he deserved a bit of luck he got that the ball went out away from the goal. But
he did, but probably if you see the goals last Sunday now by Milan and by Canlan, they hit the ball down into the ground. Hit the ball down into the ground.
Well, I suppose,
I mean, that is a great save, right? It is a great save.
I'd say Joe was waiting for the whistle and carried on and didn't have much time and went for the power, but obviously if in off the wet ground.
If a goalie was going to block that ball,
that's
he was coming at perfect height and perfectly close enough to him.
Not taken away from the save.
No. All right, we're going to take another break here in the programme. We're back with you again shortly.
With little evidence.
Guy gets a bullet hole in his head. That ring a bell? Not even a tinkle.
And no killer. It's time to start looking. Closer to home. The season finale of CSI, Tuesday at 9 on RTE2. It's 9 time.
Stop me messing around. Think of your future.
For the music fan in all of us, the Sunday Times presents an exclusive CD, The Specials, live at Brixton. Get your free 12-track CD only in the Sunday Times this weekend. The Sunday Times, for all you are.
If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Vodafone, make the most of now.
The Reggae chicken breast sub from Subway. Tender chicken breast strips in a spicy barbecue sauce on bread baked daily and made the way you want.
Jalapenos?
No. So no surprises.
Oh, mama. Too hot? Too spicy?
Hot. Subway, eat fresh.
The art of hurling.
That's incredible footwork.
RTE Sport, proud sponsors of the GAA Hurling Championship.
Now, there's a little bit of history on the Sunday game live tomorrow because Antrim and Tyrone meet for the first time ever in an Ulster football final, and our build-up to that game begins at 1:30 here on RTE2. Well, I can tell you, by the way, in our featured match here this evening, where Galway are leading Cork by 8 points to 7 at half-time, the lights, gentlemen, are on in Thurles. And obviously, it's dark. Dark and
I suppose, mate,
muggy down there.
That is a big part because we saw the Limerick game beforehand. There's a lot of messing, a lot of crowding. You know, players on top of each other. At one stage in the Limerick game, we counted 18 players between the two 50-yard lines.
Yeah.
You know, and you have a lot of that crowding. You haven't the open kind of stuff that you had last year. Remember, last year was a lovely evening.
Yes. Yeah.
Real crispy, fast hurling. You know, totally different to this evening. So that has taken away from the game, but still. Tactically, you know, Galway are very, very naive so far, you know, and they have to change that. But I am sure they will in the second half. But the intensity of the game has to go up as well. And both teams now have to realise, this is it. You've been training since last November, and you have to produce something. This isn't the league game.
Yeah.
This is, you know, a path to a quarter-final.
We've been blaming the conditions a little bit, Paul, for the fact that it's kind of lacking that. But as somebody's making the point here to me that, conditions weren't great in Ennis last week, and Galway played Clare and showed loads of intensity.
They did, particularly in the second half, which they need to do tonight again. They, they more or less took the ball last week and carried it and drew the man and kind of used the ball better. But they didn't have the stupid shots from out the field last week. They seemed to be landing them over the bar. But I think Galway in the second half now will have to kind of cut out the long shots and work the ball in. There seems to be a bit of a wind there that they'll be playing into. It might help Galway, might hold up the ball, and they might be able to take the runners in the second half, but Cork will have to stop fouling.
Yeah, they will. Everything from a Cork point of view isn't exactly rosy either, Michael, because Galway, in the early stages of that half, they won an awful lot of possession around the middle of the field in their own half-back line.
They did early on, but,
before Cork settled down.
I suppose the only thing you'd say, Cork have 7 points. They're all from play. They missed a few frees. John Gardner took a couple of long-range frees, which I couldn't understand, and he missed them. And they've got no frees at all. The Galway backs have been very disciplined, without not giving away frees. But I think Cork will be that little bit happier in terms of they've taken more of their chances. But I think if Galway can just put a bit of shape onto their team, leave Canning inside, bring the half-hour line out and move the ball and keep it in play. Like, that's all you'd be sent. You'd be sent to an under-12 team. If you get the ball, don't be hitting it wide from impossible angles. Hit it in. You have a man like Joe Canning, hit it into him. If Galway do that, they can win. But if they don't, they won't win. And I could see this game being decided maybe by a slip or a goal at, maybe an opportune time somewhere along the way. Cork will keep hurling away in the way they always do, the same pattern. Jerry O'Connor, Tom Kenny, Gardner, these lads, Sean Ogue, Ben O'Connor, they'll keep going and keep going. But I think Galway still have the potential maybe to do something a little bit different and maybe kick on and win it.
I'm looking at the Galway team who've been out on the pitch, Ger, for a couple of minutes now. No sign of Cork yet, but it is an evening that should take the full advantage of the time allowed to you, because it is a wet and damp evening.
You'll always do that of a wet evening. You'll always stay inside as long as you can. However, we saw the sky seemed to be clearly slightly behind them. Yes. Now the big question is, will Cork come out like the Cork of last year? Will the big leaders, the big men like Gardner there that you see, Curran, will they step forward now, Tom Kenny? That was the difference last year. When it came to the crunch, all their big players came to the fore and drove the team on. And will they get ball into Asaki? Because very little has gone in the first half.
These are the questions. Let's see what happens. Back again to Ger Canning and Donal O'Grady.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome back to Semple Stadium. As you've been hearing, the lights are on. I think it's the first time ever championship match being played in hurling under lights. Let's see what happens. 1 point between the teams. Start of the second half. Ger Farragher sending it forward once again here for Andy Smith, and Andy Smith lets it fly, and that one is over the bar. First point of the second half, Andy Smith's second, and Galway extend their lead. It's 9 points to 7. Not much margin for error here. I can tell you Donal O'Cusack was questioning whether it was in or not. Andy Smith had no doubt.
Yeah, Jared, that's like old style Galway play. Move the ball, push the ball in front of the players, and Andy Smith running onto it. Narrow angle, but he just managed to squeeze inside the top post.
Two unchanged teams at the start of the second half as Donal O'Cusack sends it all the way down towards Pat Horgan. If he gets decent ball inside, he can create some havoc. Oh, comes off the post. Comes back out here as far as John Lee. Looking to hand pass it, losing his way, needing assistance. Kavanagh trying to get the ball out, surrounded by Cork players. They dig in. The referee might let it develop just for a moment, and in the end the whistle goes. Dangerous that for Galway. Great shot by Pat Horgan, coming straight off the upright.
And I think John Lee was first to react, but Cork didn't realise that he had lost the ball when he turned back into his own goal, and if they had realised that, they had a goal chance.
Shane Kavanagh has it, settling in well at full-back for Galway. Big one down towards Damien Hayes, breaks here again towards Angus Callanan. Little hand pass across here. Ger Farragher onto his left-hand side to drill it between the posts and over the bar. Another Galway point at the start of the second half, and now they lead by 3. It was a lovely little hand pass to Farragher, settled his feet, looked composed, totally confident. Cork trying to apply the pressure again to try and get in the faces of the Galway backs. There was a chop down, and that's going to result in a Cork free for Galway in discipline, and this time player on the ground, Timmy McCarthy. Just watch this again, coming out towards the number 12, and the referee seeing the foul there by John Lee. This is what happened moments earlier. It was Pat Horgan in full flight, denied by the width of the post, Ben O'Connor now, with Galway fans chanting Galway, Galway. Ben O'Connor putting that one over the bar. First of the second half for him, third in all. First one to come from a free, and it's 10 points to 8.
Well, Cork needed that one, Ger, because they had Galway had opened very, very brightly and were putting Cork apart up along the middle. Lots of space developing now for them.
There was very noticeable tension all through the first half. Now it begins to open up as expected. Niall Healy now, quick transfer as far as Angus Callanan, trying to round his man there, who is Shane O'Neill. Caught him, free once again. And those indiscretions are going to be punished, as they have been throughout the first half of the match, by Joe Canning. And now start of the second, more target practice for the big number 14.
And Ger, I mean, I can't understand it with the backs. You know, he was on his fourth, going to take his fifth or sixth step there. He was under pressure. There was no danger, right? All you had to do was course him out, and you had a free back out. And simple chance now for Joe Canning. He'll certainly knock that over the bar.
So a deep intake of breath. Certainly doesn't rush his frees, takes his time, and with very good effect. Another for Big Joe. So it's a 3-point gap once again. Galway the leaders. Donald O'Cusack trying to measure his puck out now so that Cork will have maximum opportunity of winning it. But the target again out towards the left-hand side. This time it was Pa Cronin, but his man John Lee got there first. Sean O'Halpine ready to cut this line ball. Straight to a lone Galway man, who's Ger Farragher, driven way back down the field again. Conor O'Sullivan couldn't manage to hold it, and it's going to be a line ball for Galway. So further pressure now on that Cork full back line.
Yeah, Galway certainly have opened very, very brightly, and they're dominant in the first 5 minutes of the second half. And they're pulling Cork around their half forward line. They're playing very, very deep, and they're letting loads of space around the place. And Cork's half forward line have remained up at the 45-metre line, and they have to come back into midfield to cover. But Galway have a chance now to surge ahead.
Through Joe Canning at a sideline cut right at the very, very beginning of this match. That went just a little wide. This one has gone the other side of the post. And this one is also wide, so 11-8 still. 5 minutes into the second half. The lights might be on, but we're still waiting for the pyrotechnics. Here comes Donald O'Cusack's puck out. Timmy McCarthy was challenging for it. He's after it again, trying to go by. John Lee holds him down this time. Free into Cork, not much doubt about it. Timmy McCarthy doing well to draw the foul there. And John Lee has a yellow card against his name from the first half, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah, well, that's his second foul in the second half, Ger, and you know, that was deliberate. There was no efforts to play the ball. Normally that can be a yellow card, so he's lucky enough.
Ben O'Connor just waiting. Referee's gone across to talk with his linesman, Dennis Richardson from Limerick, across on the far side of the field. Now what's he been told, and what's he going to do next? Well, signal to continue, and Ben O'Connor ready to put this one over the bar from about 22 metres out. This to put 2 between them. Cork still trailing. 4 for Ben O'Connor. Colm Callanan ready to puck it out, playing tonight in his 8th championship match. John Gardner ready to compete for this one, there with Andy Smith. Sean O'Halpine robbed there by Angus Callanan. The referee saw a boot going in. It's questioned by John Gardner. But the referee in no doubt. Free will be once again to Galway. More practice for Joe Canning, busiest man on the park. Well, he's amassed some huge tallies in the past for his club, for his college as well, LIT, and of course for Galway. 212 last year in this particular match out of 215. 7 points so far this evening. 1 goal chance denied just before half-time by Donald Cusack, making a great save. Well, there's no way the fouling can continue because Joe Canning is just seriously punishing Cork. That's his 8th, and Galway are back into a 3-point lead again. Again, Cork doing well on their own puck out. Coming through here is Tom Kenny. And that has gone left, and it's gone wide. There was enormous pressure on the shot. Ben O'Connor coming on to receive the pass. Good pressure play by Galway's backs. Dennis Walsh then going to chat with Pat Buckley, one of his selectors, former Cork star, of course, as Colm Callanan pucks it out. Broken down here. Andy Smith trying to feed it forward again. Racing for it is Shane O'Neill. Good play by O'Neill, and he was near the sideline. Challenged over there by Joe Canning. Line ball is once again going to be to Galway.
Well, this could be third time lucky for Joe. He's been wide from the first 2 sidelines, has a bit of practice. He'll probably go for it again, Ger. He's a confident chap, and you know, to push them 4 points ahead if he can do it.
Let's see what he does. Well, he catches it magnificently. Has he got the direction as it cuts through the air and sails over the bar? As you say, third time lucky. 9 points for Joe Canning. Quite an exhibition. 13 points to 9. Galway are leading. Now where's the Cork response? Kieran Murphy had some great moments of the first half. Jerry O'Connor trying the shot, comes off the post, and it goes out off the goalkeeper's stick. It's gone for a 65. That was close. Colm Callanan not taking any chances as Jerry O'Connor struck it magnificently. Keeper got the stick to it. Good save.
Yeah, just didn't hit it with any great conviction to Jerry. You know, normally takes a step there and lets it go high. At this stage now, where they're in the game, they're been out of the game. It's 10 minutes on since in the second half, and really Galway have dominated, and Cork may be losing confidence a little bit.
Well, a point here might just restore some of that confidence. Once more, Ben O'Connor taking it, and once more Ben O'Connor scoring. He's got 5, Joe Canning's got 9, and it's 13 points to 10. Still a 3-point gap between the teams. Well, it's interesting that 9 of this Cork team started the 2005 All-Ireland final against Galway. 6 from Galway started the match as well here tonight. So even though Galway would be perceived to be a team that is a new team being built, and Cork's a team that's been there for quite a few years, it's interesting how Cork still have been very, very competitive as Owen Canigan gets that ball away. Free to Cork. Well, I think the public in Cork not quite sure whether it's a Cork team in decline or whether it's in transition or whether it's a new team developing. Certainly there's no mistaking that Galway are a new team very much on the scene. Can they make the breakthrough this year? That's the big question. John Gardner taking it. Huge one in, and Callan does really well again. Forward staring him in the face, and he kept a very close eye on that one. Cool nerve, got it away. Out to John Gardner. Only 26 years of age, John Gardner. Andy Smith gets it. Links up here with Damien Joyce. Back into the inside forwards it goes again, towards Niall Healy. Closing him down is Shane O'Neill. Shane O'Neill fumbles it. That's enough to give it away to Joe Canning. Hand pass there as far as Niall Healy. Good recovery once again by Shane O'Neill. He really is a quick corner back. Helped out by Donal O'Cusack. Huge one down the field. Fumble there by Damien Joyce. Onto it there is Fergal Moore. Moore in the red helmet, looking to try and link up with a colleague somewhere. Anybody will do. And in the end, the referee says he fell down on the ball, and it's got to be a free into Cork and a chance to close the gap once again as it heats up.
Well, the last passage of play, George, you know, it shows the difference between the two sides tonight. Galway have been in very, very quickly and attacking, and they support the men very well. Cork, when they're in possession, they've been caught a number of times and nobody's come in to take the ball off them quickly. So John Gardner getting caught, and we saw Ben O'Connor getting caught, whereas Galway transferring the ball much quicker out of the tackle.
Ben O'Connor to take it. His first 2 points were from play, the next 3 have all been from frees. Well within his range, nicely over the bar. Another for Ben O'Connor. So it's 13-11 and little to choose. Galway look a little bit nervous on occasions. Cork doggedly determined to stay in the hunt. Park Ronan, good reach that time, did really well in the air. Ben O'Connor onto it swiftly, knocked forward here. It was Jerry who was trying to play it inside. It was Owen Lynch who got there first, went off the Portamna player. Line ball to Cork, and it's going to be left for Ben O'Connor to take.
And Cork have changed their tactics now, and the Galway puckouts. Park Ronan's coming way out into the middle field. John Lee is following him out, and maybe instead of standing at centre back and taking a short one, and he's won the last 2 puckouts.
There is a change, and Niall Healy is coming off the Galway team to be replaced by number 29, Joe Gantley. So Joe Gantley, who scored against Clare when he came on as a sub late in that match last Saturday night, on instead of Niall Healy. Oof, that one's going right, might still remain in play. Still there to be competed for, Asaki O'Halpine, and the referee says he fouled. Again Asaki goes to Brian Gavin, just as he did in the match against Tipperary, looking for a bit of clarification on this one.
Well, I think that he's trying to say that he played the ball in his hand, and possibly he caught it 3 times as well, and that might have been the decision, but I think Brian Gavin might have felt that he held on to it too long. But that's the first ball Asaki O'Halpine has got for a long time, and that's the main problem with Cork. They can't get the ball into the full forward in the present.
Remember, this is a player who's been playing Australian rules football up to quite recently, for 2 years down in Melbourne. So getting to the pace of hurling once again, and certainly the pace of hurling at this level. Remember, it's the last of the qualifiers. Limerick have already got through today, very narrowly, beating Laois by 20 points to 114. So they're in the quarterfinals. Will it be Galway? Will it be Cork?
And John Gardner has gone back to right half back now with Cork, with Tom Kendigan up midfield, and he's making a small bit of a difference at the half back line, winning a couple of good puckouts there.
Ben O'Connor dropping it in and dropping it over the bar. He'd have maximum care with that. He really is a superb striker of the ball, and it's a 1-point game once again. 50 minutes are gone, so 20 to go. There's a realisation, if it wasn't there earlier on, that one of these teams has got to drop out of the championship by 9 o'clock tonight. Damien Joyce, the player from Capitagal, number 2, requiring the attention.
Damien Joyce, who started right half back, and he's been switched over to left half back now to Mark Ben O'Connor, down with an injury, and this will take a bit of the sting out of Cork. Cork were going well the last few minutes, and you know, he seems to be okay, he's getting right, but when there's a lull in the play like that, it always favours the team that are under a bit of pressure.
It breaks the rhythm, doesn't it? Where did I hear that before? A certain manager who was here last weekend in a post-match interview said something similar. Colm Callanan pucking it out. Pressure on Sean O'Halpine, breaks inside here. Hayes feeding it in, Farragher was after it. It comes to Jerry O'Connor instead. And Jerry O'Connor racing away, pursued by Andy Smith. It's Jerry O'Connor helped out here by Timmy McCarthy. Into the breach comes Andy Smith, hard worker that he is, the left half forward. And the referee blows his whistle. Attention will be required for the stricken Timmy McCarthy. And a row breaks out immediately behind the referee's back, and the tension spills over. Several rows. Now, how does the referee respond to all of this? Number 3 in there is Owen Cadigan. Joe Canning was wrestling. We had several others as well. Tension just spilling over.
Well, I think the initial problem started between Ben O'Connor and who's right half forward for Cork, and Cyril Donald, the Galway centre forward, and Dennis Richardson, or Johnny Ryan, sorry, the linesman was right there, so you know both of those players might be in trouble.
So the Cork manager is ready to make changes, but before all of that, the referee having words with Andy Smith. Two players have already been yellow carded in the game, Park Cronin and John Lee. Now it's Andy Smith and John Gardner. So shake of the hands, 2 yellow cards, Gardner and Smith see yellow. Cork are making a change. Niall McCarthy is coming on, and it'll be Timmy McCarthy, his namesake, who is going to go off. So first change for Cork then. One McCarthy for another. Niall coming in for his 36th appearance in the championship. Again, the stalemate here. Kicked forward that time by Jerry O'Connor. Ollie Canning back. Under pressure, lots of pressure from Niall McCarthy. Still managed to get it to a colleague, to the recovered Damien Joyce. Forward by Owen Lynch. In there towards Joe Gantley, now operating around full forward, ready to chase after this one. Getting there first, the fleet-footed Shane O'Neill. Out over the end line, it's gone for a 65. Cork protest. The umpire in no doubt, however. Arm raised, 65 to Galway.
Yeah, I think he got it right, Ger. I think that Shane O'Neill's hurley was knocked by Damien Hayes, and it was Shane O'Neill's hurley was last to come in contact with the ball.
Well, the protestations all in vain anyway. It's going to be a 65 for John McIntyre's team, and once again it'll be Joe Canning who will take it. 55 minutes nearly gone, 15 to go. This to put 2 between the teams in a very, very tense match. And there's going to be another change. Pat Horgan is going to go off, and Tyg Og Murphy is going to come on wearing number 15. Well, he played in the last match, of course, Tyg Og against Offaly in the qualifier at Tullamore. Joe Canning, his last point was from a sideline. This one is from a 65. Wonderful, wonderful accuracy.
Yeah, and Tyg Og Murphy, who's just come on as a good mover, and he moves well for the ball, and he creates a bit of space, but things are very, very tight at the moment, and Galway marking Cork very, very tightly.
So let's see who's going to win this in a tight finish. Well, was the ball out? Referee anyway has decided it's going to be a possession for Cork, and once again it's going to be Ben O'Connor who will take this. John McIntyre, the manager of Galway, keeping a very watchful eye. Ben trying to add to his tally of 7 points already in this match. Third round of the qualifiers. It's going to drop in this time towards Osaki O'Halpine. Couldn't get a touch to it, and it goes wide. So a wasted opportunity for Cork. Big man hasn't scored so far in this game. Got 2-1 against Offaly when last Cork played, and was dropped in, looking to get that vital touch. Been well marked there by Shane Kavanagh.
That'd be very, very good for Galway psychologically, because Cork would have made, there's only a point between them if Ben had scored that.
Gardner went out and attacked that puck out. Comes to Jerry O'Connor. Into space here. Asaki racing for it. Kavanagh's after him. He was tripped. That time it's got to be a free in, and there's a chance for Cork with a free coming up to pull it back to a 1-point game once more. This is where the legs tangled. Not much doubt about it.
Yeah, Ger, once that happens, whether it is meant or not, whether it's on purpose or not, the forward will always get the benefit of the doubt, and this is very important that he scores this one.
Well, he's trying to give himself every possible opportunity, Ben O'Connor. Man from Newton Shandrum then, North Cork, puts it over the bar inside the left-hand post. The points mount up for him. He's got 8. Joe Canning has got 10. The leading scorers by a mile, really. And it's Galway 14, Cork 13.
And you feel, Jared, the way the game is very, very tight, you feel that, well, first goal is the winner.
Cork about to bring on Graham Callan. That'll have to wait as Farragher feeds the man coming through in the centre. And that one is put over the bar there by Angus Callanan, his first point. Great work by the Liam Mellows player. Vital moment here for Galway. Vital catch by Ger Farragher. Lovely release to the man who was on his shoulder, Callanan. That's a great score. The new man in there is Graham Callanan.
Big score there, and a wonderful catch by Ger Farragher in the middle of the field, and did everything right. Brilliant ball into Callanan on the run, and simple score.
Well, we have another Callanan now. 3 of them playing in this match. 2 of them for Galway, 1 for Cork. It's Galway with their noses in front. Shane O'Neill getting the ball out, putting pressure there on Sean O'Gauhalpine, hounded there by Cyril Donnellan. Joe Gantley there as well, but it's broken here. Good work by Shane O'Neill. He's starring there at the back for Cork, reaching up for that one, but not quite taking it was John Lee. It breaks through again, and it's knocked away out of danger unceremoniously by Galway's wonderful cornerback. And Galway are ready to bring in Kevin Hayes. So Kevin Hayes about to come on for Cyril Donnellan. And that basically is one centre-half forward for another.
Well, Joe, he seems to have gone out to mark Sean O'Gauhalpine, and this very intelligent player, and he hits a very, very good ball into the inside line.
Just over 10 minutes are left. Who's going to win it? Ronan Curran dropping it in towards Asaki O'Halpine, going to try and take it himself from the broken ball, taking on Kavanagh, going down 20 metres out. Cork have the free and a chance to put 1 between them yet again. This was the challenge now. Was there a foul here? Well, he went down theatrically. And there's the opportunity for Ben O'Connor then to put it over the bar. It'll be an easy one for him, just over 20 metres out. The big man, Asaki O'Halpine, causing the problems, and Ben O'Connor exacting maximum retribution. So 15 points to 14. 60 minutes are gone at Semple Stadium under the lights. Dennis Walsh, first year as manager. Who's going to win it? Colm Callanan's puck out towards Joey Gantley. Comes back again to Cork. Puck Roland couldn't make any kind of progress, however. It's Kevin Hayes instead. That time stopped by Ronan Curran. And the referee again saw a foul blow. The player who's down injured is Owen Lynch. And it'll be a free once again to the men in the maroon shirts. Clash of sticks there. Referee seeing Lynch go down. Big tall player taking the opportunity this year to make the transition from being a very good club hurler with Fortumna to being a very serious inter-county player. This is a very good sustained run. John McIntyre now just hoping his team can see out the deal here at Semple Stadium in what has been a very close, very tense match. So many of Galway's scores coming from place balls, credited to Joe Canning.
Yeah, and there's very bunch in the middle of the field, and both teams I think are suffering that none of them can get the ball, good quality ball, into their inside lines.
Ger Farragher taking this, driving it in. Canning's there under it, got to stick to it too. Donald Cusack gets out and blocked, and it's going to be a puck out for Cork. Another dangerous moment. Variation on a theme that time. He stayed out, ready to get the stick to this one. Goalkeeper quick to react, closed down there, and closing him down effectively was Joey Gantley. Puck out towards Park Cronin. Chasing after it here is Niall McCarthy. Back once again it comes, and well out of danger. Up towards Kevin Hayes. Oh, Canning's all alone. This could be the moment. well blocked. Gantley back in the net. The breakthrough for Galway comes in the 63rd minute, and it's Joey Gantley. Well, the man who's come off the bench has given Galway a valuable lead at a crucial stage in the match. Just over 7 minutes to go. Galway 115, Cork 14 points. Looking good for the tribesmen. His first ever goal in the championship. Kevin Hayes, one substitute, into the star of the team, Joe Canning. Should have made it there, but Gantley, another substitute, did. And Galway lead by 4 points.
Yeah, that goal was made there by, I just said about Kevin Hayes, plays with Portown with Joe Canning, and once he gets the ball he looks inside, and a fantastic ball, real Kevin Hayes ball, low and hard in, and Joe, wonderful save by Cusack, but he couldn't do anything about Gantley, and Galway now in the driving seat.
Well, what a night for Joe Gantley, what a night for Galway if they can hold out here. Cork with their backs to the wall. That's Tygo Murphy, and that's put wide. It was a chance. Well, his dad before him once rescued Cork in a Munster match against Kerry, a Munster final with a last-minute goal, as Cork now make a change and bring Cahill Naughton on, and coming off Park Ronan. There's still 6 to 7 minutes of this qualifier still to play. It's very definitely advantage Galway. What is going to be the Cork response? Sholago Halpine in a hurry. Forwards need the ball. Didn't get it. It's Farragher instead. Fires it in. Stopped well on the line by Donald Cusack. Steps away from trouble. Back down the field it comes again. Galway winning the vital duels in that part of the field right now. This time it's Ollie Canning. Little hand pass outside there to Owen Lynch. Huge one down the field. Cadigan coming for this one. Getting there ahead of Joe Canning. Needing support here from Conor O'Sullivan. Does well, the youngster. Just 20 years of age. Linking up with Donald Cusack. Clever ball across here if Cork can keep it in play. They can. Graham Callanan. Ball in. Player out maybe. The referee and linesman said play on. They do. That's kicked ahead there by Ben O'Connor. Out here as far as Niall McCarthy, and that one has gone, yes, over the bar. Close run thing. They all count, and Niall McCarthy's first point since coming on. Just a goal between them. As it was when Cork were playing Tipperary. Then it was the first round of the Munster. Now there's no safety net. One of these teams is going out of the championship. Is it to be Cork? Galway have that vital edge. It's broken down here by Aongus Callanan, racing forward. Still Callanan, feeding it back there towards Damien Hayes. Back even further it goes. Oh, they get their lines mixed up, and Owen Lynch didn't receive the pass. Instead it is Niall McCarthy. In this live Saturday night match from Semple Stadium in Perlis. Referee blows the whistle. Foul by Asaki O'Halpine, free out to Galway. They'll breathe a sigh of relief. 66 minutes are gone on the clock. That's where Shane Kavanagh went down. That's where the referee blew against the Cork man. Waterford wait in the wings. They will be the quarter-final opponents. It'll be interesting at the semi-final stage because you can't have a repeat of the Munster or the Leinster finals. So if Waterford were to win, they could not play. They would not be playing Tipperary, for instance, in their semi-final. Their semi-final would be against Kilkenny, and so on. Meanwhile, in the qualifier, it's to get there in the first place. Ronan Curran jumping for this one and taking it beautifully as Damien Joyce. Released swiftly as far as Kevin Hines. It's all Galway. It's Joe Canning, the star of the show. Not for the first time. Great block down by O'Sullivan. Followed up there brilliantly by Damien Hayes and rattled over the bar. A point in each half for Damien Hayes. 3 minutes are left, but it is 116 to 15 points. Still 4 between them. Is that enough for Galway? Is there a way back for Cork? Ronan Curran, Sean O'Halpine, stars of this team. when they were competing in All-Ireland finals in 03 and 04 and so on. Niall McCarthy was there as well. And that one has gone wide. How did that one miss? That's inexplicable. One of the best chances he's ever going to get. Look at the number of players he had in support if he wanted to play it to somebody else. Oh, that's a howler by Niall McCarthy. It was a great chance.
Yeah, I think he was trying to be too exact to put it into the corner, but the keeper made it easy for him. He went to the left, and then Niall should have just hammered it into the right in front of him into the net. But a bad mistake by Cork and a great chance gone.
Instead of a point being between the teams, there are still 4, and it's still looking good for Galway. Once again, there's a chance for them here with the strongly built Kevin Hayes, and that one's gone over the bar. His first since coming on. The gap widens, 5 points between them, and Cork in difficulty there, and that time the referee's going to speak with Joe Gantley for the foul on Shane O'Neill. Well, there wasn't much doubt about where it all started, but I'm not sure how it's all going to finish up.
Well, this is straight into Galway's oil can, run down the clock. And what a substitution Kevin Hayes has been for Galway. Has been instrumental in a lot of the good play and an excellent point there to shove them 5 points ahead.
Donald O'Cusack ready to puck it out. They needed that goal chance. I wonder will they get another. We're in the 69th minute, and as you can see, Owen Ford is coming in place of Kevin Hines. Owen Ford also came on in Ennis. Then it was a winning substitution towards the end 7 nights ago. Will it be another one here? Again they break it. That's Ford, thick of the action. Cork looking for the ball. Asaki Harpeen runs beyond it. Swept away there by Colm Callanan. Great intervention by the goalkeeper. Niall McCarthy trying to make amends. He's been a hero so often in the past for Cork. And that time the ball is carried out over the end line. It's going to be a 65. They can protest as much as they want there, as Shane Kavanagh is doing. But the pressure is going to be back on Galway, but they have the cushion of a 5-point lead. Oh, it was tantalising for Asaki O'Halpine.
Well, when you add that to the chance that Niall McCarthy just missed there, when Cork re-look at his tape, 2 good chances of goals gone, but still the advantage lies with Galway as we go to time up.
This time Ronan Curran floating it in, leaving it to everybody else inside there to see what you can do. That's John Gardner over his right shoulder, and he's put it wide, and it's not looking like Cork's night. We're in time added on for stoppages now. Galway going to make another change, running down the clock, and Andy Cohen's going to come in. John McIntyre about to enjoy another wonderful night of celebration in the Hurling Championship. This is taken again here by Graham Callanan. Is there still a miracle there for Cork? Still he goes forward, and look how far back. The big man has come, Joe Canning, shouldered strongly by Niall McCarthy, helped out by John Lee to get it away out of danger. Up as far as Joe Gantley. Gantley battling there with Ronan Curran. Nicely across here, an opportunity for Angus Callanan to embellish a wonderful situation if you're a fan of the Tribesmen. And there are lots and lots of them around Semple Stadium right now, celebrating because this is their night. They're hardly going to be denied now, leading by a goal and 18 to 15 points. And they look to me like a team on the way up. Cork have been a team who've given great entertainment to so many people and enjoyed so many wonderful nights when they were managed by people like Donald alongside me here and John Allen as well. But that great era looks like it is coming towards an end. Here's Angus Callanan up towards Damien Hayes once again, ready to take on Conor O'Sullivan. Little darting run. Oh, couldn't take the ball back into his hands. Oh, that's the work of a marksman, a wonderful craftsman. And Damien Hayes has got a third. Well, they can celebrate now. Owen Lynch, one of those, played his part. We're in the 72nd minute, and it's 119 to 15 points. The margin is 7 points. Again, it is Angus Callanan. Cork will never give up, but they realise now the immensity of the task and the hopelessness of the task as well. They look tired. Galway look fresh. That one by Angus Callanan goes wide. For the record, that is their 12th wide. There were 10 by Cork. It's all over. Galway beat Cork, atoned for last year, and Galway are the ones who are in the quarterfinals. Ger Farragher, one of their heroes tonight, on a night when Joe Canning scored 10 points. Freeze, a sideline, a 65. He gave the leadership, and then there was the all-important goal, and that was scored in the 63rd minute. He was involved in that as well. It was saved, his shot, by Donald O'Cusack, but the rebound put in the net by Joe Gantley, and Gantley can celebrate with all of the others, because at Semple Stadium here, it's Galway who make the progress. Galway, 1 goal and 19 points. Cork, 15 points.
Ger Canning and Donald O'Grady are commentators at Semple Stadium in Thurles. So then it's Galway who will face Waterford in the next round of the championship. So we may as well get the first word, I suppose, here on the panel being Michael Duignan, Paul Flynn and Ger Loughnane from the Waterford man. Paul, how do you fancy that?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, Galway will be hot favourites next weekend after a second half display like that. But in fairness to them, they used their panel well there in the second half. They brought in players and they done great work there in the last quarter when it was needed. So it'll be a tough ask next weekend for Waterford. But Waterford have good forwards too and a bit of speed, so it should be a great game.
I was saying to Ger Loughnane at half-time that there was something similar to this game in Galway last year against Cork. The difference was, at the end there, Galway were the ones that drove it on.
Well, it was the absolute reverse of the second half of last year. It was Galway, and not alone they drove it on from the very first minute of the second half. They got 2 points. Ger Farragher had a terrific second half in midfield. But I think in Galway this year, what is totally different to what they've had in the last few years is the work rate of the forwards, especially. You know, the wing forwards and the half-forward line are moving out to midfield, they're blocking, they're hooking. And in the second half now, in fairness in the second half, they hit in very intelligent ball into the full forward line, especially when Chunky came on and Joe Gantley came on. It was a great second half display from Galway. And
the impact of the subs was enormous.
Enormous. Chunky made the goal they got, and of course Joe scored it, Joe Gantley scored it. But they're a team, Galway are a team that if they get on a run, they're very, very hard to stop. I think it's just a pity that they're at the very hard side of the draw, but they're still winning. You know, they're still winning. And that second half display, they scored 111 in the second half, most of it from play, to Cork's 8 points. They totally out-hurdled Cork. Cork, I'm afraid, it's the end of the road for an awful lot of them. And it's just as well that it's Galway have gone through, because they will do much more justice to the championship from now on than Cork will, because Cork are just not ready. Or they're not the team they were, and they're just not ready for championship hurling.
We'll come back, lads, to that aspect of this game a little bit later on, but I think at the moment, Michael Duignan, just one other man we want to mention in the middle of all this was the referee, who I thought had an excellent game tonight, and of course an Offaly man.
Well, I think Brian's a very good referee. Not being biased about it, he's a friend of mine as well. But he did. It was difficult conditions, very slippery, and he could be over fussy, but he wasn't. He let it flow, and I think he took action when he needed to. But he
very sensible referee.
He did a good job and allowed the players to hurl, which is the important thing.
Let's talk about the match itself. What did you make of it?
Well, the second half, there was a few things. I think Galway changed their tactics completely. In the first half, we were very critical at half time here of them stupid wides, hitting ridiculous balls into the goalie wide. And from the very start of the second half, first score, low ball in, used the ball brilliantly all throughout the second half, worked fierce hard for each other. Their subs, as the lad said, came on, made a big difference. And one thing, Cork again fell back on Ben O'Connor. They had no other options. In the second half, Galway's discipline suffered a bit. They gave away a few frees. Ben popped them all over, but they had no other options up front, really, only Ben O'Connor. All the rest of the forwards were well held, and Galway ran out easy winners in the end. And, you know, for years Galway were complaining they had no matches. They had one match and they were getting bet, or they had one match, semi-final and a final. Well, this year they're getting it. They wanted it Leinster. They're getting it the hard way. Kilkenny, now Cork tonight, Waterford next week, and then Kilkenny again if they're going to get to a final. So, you know, it's only good for them in the long term. It's going to this year is going to be worth 10 years to Galway because of all these matches they're getting and all these young players they're blooding. And the Portumna influence can't be underestimated. The confidence they have gained from winning All Irelands. Ollie Canning, Joe Canning, Owen Lynch, Chunky Hayes coming on, Andy Smith, who's been a revelation. Unbelievable. It shows you, Burr did it for Offaly for years by winning All Irelands. It gives everyone confidence around them, and Portumna are doing it for Galway now.
They're getting, Paul, those extra matches and they're winning them, which is important, because if Galway went into the Leinster Championship and fizzled out of the summer this year, people would say, well, there you go now, you see, they had their chance, they got their matches, and they still couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's worked out very well for them. Like, obviously they were very competitive against Kilkenny for 65 minutes of the game, and I could have gone on to win that game, but got their few games, but they have to be full of confidence, especially after going tennis and beating Clare. a fixture they had problems with a couple of years ago, and like last year they were beaten in Ennis.
Yeah.
And
they've only won once in Ennis.
Yeah. So like I mean, even that was a lift in itself. But going to Thurles tonight and getting over Cork is a huge lift. And even beating Cork, although Cork weren't good on the night, beating Cork is a huge thing for any team.
And I think you have to remember, Kilkenny had to play outstandingly well to beat him. It wasn't just that Galway fell apart. Owen Larkin gave one of the greatest displays you'll ever see. Scored 5 points from play in the second half against them there, and Henry Shefflin. They really were to the pin of their collar to beat Galway that night. A great game in Tullamore. So Galway will know they're not that far off the pace. A couple of years ago, there were 10 minutes to go. You know, they were level with Galway and Croke Park in Ireland semi-final, so they know that they don't really fear Kilkenny, I think, as much as a lot of other teams do.
And you'd really be delighted for the hurling people in Galway who pushed this thing of going into Leinster.
Yes.
Under huge pressure, you know, and you know, there were so many people against it as well. But John Fahey, the secretary in Galway, who's such a far-seeing kind of official, and just absolutely thrilled for him, and for John McIntyre, who was who was a huge proponent of this as well. This was the right way forward for Galway. Get matches early on, and not starting at the end of July, having just played Laois and Antrim. Now look at that; they're on a run now. They're on a roll. Any team, who would want to face them? Kilkenny wouldn't even want to face them now. I think they lacked a bit of energy. There was a bit of a hangover from Cusack Park, I think, in the first half. But in the second half, they were just terrific. You know, there was only one team in it really in the second half, and the quality of ball they played in. In the second half,
available as well,
and the work rate, exactly. The work rate. Man coming on, if a person gets the ball, does a man come on, lay it onto him, ball over the bar. Simple hurling, done really well, tactically very, very good in the second half.
One of the things that will please Galway hurling fans, Ger, is the fact that when the game in the second half came up to real championship pace, they were the ones with the bottle for it.
Absolutely, and they're the ones that dominated, and that's when they really dominated the Cork forwards. You know, as Michael was saying, they're only for a few frees, silly frees they conceded. Cork had one goal chance. That was basically it. And we always said that a goal was going to make the big difference. And of course, Galway got the goal. But I think even if Galway didn't get the goal, they were going to win this game.
Sure.
You know, because
a big criticism of Galway last year was reliance on Joe Canning. Now, Joe Canning had a brilliant game from frees and play spot, and they have to be scored. There were fabulous frees from all over the field. But Angus Callan 2 points from play, Andy Smith 2 points from play, Damien Hayes 3 points from play, all chipping in that they weren't doing last year, taking the weight of expectation of such. The guy's only 21 years of age. The whole country's expecting wonders from every time he goes out, and that's their confidence to grow and say, look, we're all helping out Joe Canning this year. Everyone's coming into it, much better balance to their play, and you know, they're going to be
fantastic spirit.
They're going to be a tough team to beat, and the balance of their management team as well. John Hardiman around Athenry, successful team for years. John Moylan at every club match in Galway at every level, and Joe Connolly, the inspirational leader from 1980, and the figurehead in the dressing room, along with McIntyre's huge experience.
And there's a massive unity between all of them, between the players on the field, between the subs and the players, and between the management and the players. There's a huge unity. They have a terrific method of playing, and I think they'll be very hard to stop.
We're going to stop playing up Galway here because Paul Flynn is loving every minute of this here at the moment. We're going to take a short break here at the Saturday game live. Now, don't go anywhere. We still have our man of the match to come from this game. That's right after this break.
I did not kill him!
Harper's Island, Monday at 10:20 on RTE2.
You know, cutting your carbon number can make a world of difference and save you money. So when there's good drying out, why not skip the tumble dryer? It'll shrink your energy bills, not your jumper. Find your carbon number and easy ways to save up to €500 when you visit change.ie. Cut carbon, cut costs.
quite clear that you were driving too fast to cope with the unexpected.
The faster the speed, the bigger the mess. From the Road Safety Authority, supported by Hibernian Aviva.
Thurles, 1884. An idea was born, and it grew, and proved irresistible. And every match played since in the greatest football championship in the world proves one simple fact. With the right people behind you, you can do just about anything. Ulster Bank, proud sponsor of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Welcome back again to the Saturday game now. So then Galway are through to the next round of this year's All-Ireland Hurling Championship, and there's a summary of the scores. Much talk about Joe Canning and the contribution that he made, which of course as usual was enormous, but it was the other Joe that came on as a sub, Joe Gantley, the man from Behe, who got that vital goal, the critical goal I suppose, in the match in that second half. However, our man of the match from the game is Angus Callanan, and he is talking now to Joanne Cantwell.
Angus Callanan, congratulations on being the GAA Hurling Championship man of the match. I'm going to give you away. Before the interview started, you were bending down, you could hardly stand up. Does that sum up that match out there?
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a tough battle. We saw last year that we kind of owed them one, and we felt that we had to put everything into it. And I think it showed with the lads after the match there, everything was left out in the field, and thanks be to God the result went our way.
Was that something that has been in your heads ever since that defeat here last year?
Definitely. I was part of that panel last year, and it was a real kick in the teeth for us, you know. We felt that 14 men against 15, and we were a good few points up, and we just fell apart. So we said to ourselves that wasn't going to happen this year, and we felt we were slipping there in the first half a bit, but held it together, and luckily enough Joe Gantley got a good goal there, and that put us on track, you know.
Was that something that was in your heads the whole time throughout the match, because you tended to be ahead by a small margin throughout it, but thinking that last year you let the lead go?
Definitely, yeah. We felt we had to keep the scoreboard ticking over no matter what. Felt that was something like the last few against Kilkenny, the last game that we went 22 minutes without scoring. So we felt that if we just keep the scoreboard ticking over, that we'd be thereabouts at the end of the game.
How big a step forward is this now for Galway and this team?
Well, it's a small step forward for us, you know. We have a massive battle next weekend. Davy Fitz knows a good few of us, and I'm sure he'll have plans for us. But Waterford again now would be definitely a massive challenge for us. They're coming into it like as favourites. They were an All-Ireland final last year, and you know, they're a seasoned team. We're up and coming, and it'll be another challenge for us.
Angus, we better let you have a rest. Thanks very much. Well done.
No, thanks.
Well done to Angus Callanan, our man of the match from that game. But I suppose, in fairness to them all, Ger, you know, so many of the Galway players in that second half in particular showed up.
Well, I think the reason we agreed on Angus to be man of the match was because he typified the attitude of so many of the Galway players, especially of the forward line. You know, because the forward line in Galway was always famous for nice, tidy forwards, but no work rate. This year, they have forwards in there who have a massive work rate. And like the secret in all inter-county hurling nowadays is the work of the forwards, whether it's football or hurling. And the blocking down, hooking, stopping the backs from clearing the ball, he typified that. But Andy Smith did the same thing.
Yes.
You know, Andy Smith did the very same thing. Great to see Damien Hayes coming into the game at the very end. And then at least they have options as well, with Chunky coming in and Joe Gantley coming in, making huge contributions. Jeff Farrer having a great game at midfield. You know, he had a terrific second half, especially at midfield. And the backs were rock solid, well marshalled by Ollie again.
All right, Ger, let's hear what the Galway manager John McIntyre has to say about all that.
Well, John, what would you put that win down to today?
Sheer heart and conviction. Didn't look great for us at half time. We were only up a point. There was a reasonably strong wind out there. But we drove home the message to them that they were capable of much better in the second half, that while the commitment was still there, you know, we didn't use the ball that well again in the first half, and we had some bad wides. And that, you know, if it came down to the last 10 minutes and we're still standing in the game, we still had a chance of winning it, that maybe our superior fitness, given Cork's problems early in the year, might carry us over the line. I'm thrilled for the players. I'm thrilled for the backroom team. Everybody has worked so hard. Galway victories over Cork are precious and very rare, and you know, it's a big win for Galway in a big match, and Cork threw everything at us. And you know, the reality is though that we have a quick turnaround. We have Waterford next weekend. This victory won't count for anything if we slip up there, but we have to live for the moment too, and that's what sport is all about. I know all about the other side as a player and as a manager, so I'm going to cherish this one tonight, but from tomorrow morning our entire focus will be on the Waterford match.
Heart and fitness, you say, also having a man who can put the frees over the bar from any area of the pitch, I'm sure was huge in that as well.
Yeah, Joe Canning again came up trumps with his accurate free taking. You've got to give credit to the lads who were being fouled out the field. I thought it was a tremendous team effort tonight, and they didn't flinch, and maybe in the past Galway teams in a similar position have been found wanting. This team has bottle, this team has character, and this team has courage, and I would appeal to the Galway supporters wherever this match is next weekend that they have a team worth following. Come out and support us. There was a big crowd there tonight and we appreciate that, but you know, I'd like to think this team has still more to offer this summer, but we're taking one game at a time.
Is it a good thing that the games are coming so thick and fast?
It is at the moment because we're still standing and we're still winning, and the alternative would be that we'd be at home watching other teams pursuing the McCarthy Cup. I think Galway now have played 4 championship games and we're still standing, and that's something to build on.
Well done today, John. Thanks very much. Thanks a lot. Well done. Thanks, appreciate
it. Yeah, good win for John McIntyre, obviously, in his team today. Just let's pick up on that, Michael Duignan. They're still standing, as he says, but now they have a quick turnaround and a game against Waterford next week, and Waterford had that little break.
They had the break, and you know, they'll be happy enough to have us all to be here talking about Galway tonight and blowing them up. But I think this Galway team, they're a young team, they're fresh, they're hungry. That's what you want. Plenty of matches out again next week. No time to think about it. Maybe a bit of a poke around during the week and on again, and that'll suit them, you know, because as John says, you know, they're full of battle and character and everything at the moment. I think that's interesting. Early in the year he challenged them on all those. After one of their first league matches, he had a right go at them, and I didn't know it was the right thing to do at the time. But Ger would have challenged them in his time as Galway manager as well. Early on it might have backfired with some of the players that weren't able to take it, but this bunch of lads have reacted the way you want them, because I think Ger will agree, you don't challenge players like that because you want to be abusing them or insulting them. You want to challenge them to see have they got the character, and the Galway players reacted the way John McIntyre would have wanted them to this year. Come out and win matches like that, compete savagely against Kilkenny, and go on then beat Clare and Ennis, beat Waterford, or beat what? So you can beat Cork, beat Cork here tonight, and get on to play Waterford next weekend. But I actually think Waterford have huge experience. They were in the All-Ireland final last year, a disaster for them. But outside of that, over the last 8 or 9 or 10 years, they're probably the most consistent team outside of Kilkenny in the country, and they'll love this now. They'll go in. Angus Callan said Waterford will go in favourites. They won't. I think Galway will go in favourites, but Waterford will be very, very tricky opponents.
And of course next week, Paul Ger was the manager of Galway last year. Of course, the lad that played for him is the manager of this present Waterford side.
Yeah, it's kind of a new team really that he's put together, where you have a couple of new. Michael Welch has gone back half back. You have a new midfield in Shane Sullivan and Kevin Moran that started last day. New corner back in Noel Connors. And the team is kind of playing different than it used to over the years.
Are you happy with the way the team's set up at the moment?
I wouldn't be happy with the way the style of hurling they're playing, if you push me, to be honest. I'd like them really to be more expansive and kind of play without kind of thinking about the consequences, you know, just kind of play to their strengths maybe and take the matches to the other teams, whereas I think maybe we're being a bit defensive, kind of trying to cut out mistakes rather than go and attacking the game. But you know, they're going to have to go attack Galway next weekend if they're going to beat them.
I think you'd hope next Sunday would be a fine day, you know, because a fine day suits both of these teams. Suits Waterford, and so it suits us all.
Well, they're two good hurling teams,
but they're two really good hurling teams with classy players, with great skill, and that's what you want to see. And the worst of rain is teams don't do themselves justice in the rain. It becomes a battle, and the team usually with the greater heart usually win the game. But also skill is an important, even on a wet night like tonight. Sure. And I was really impressed by the way the Galway backs were able to get out of trouble, deliver the ball to the loose man, and the loose man using the ball really effectively in the second half, something they weren't doing in the first half.
McIntyre and his selectors had to stay cool as well in that second half, because John Lee was on a yellow card. He committed a foul in the second half, and I said to you, he has a conundrum here now. He needs John Lee, but he doesn't need him to get sent off.
Yeah, but one thing about Lee is he's really intelligent. And after that happened to Lee, you can be sure that no matter what happened after that, he wasn't going to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
He had the Hurley over the shoulder, which could be, it's a dicey one for the second yellow card, and he couldn't afford to lose it. But Lee will cop onto that straight away because he has a great hurling brain, and he's always aware of everything that's going around him. And even though he didn't have a spectacular game tonight, he did block off an awful lot of balls.
I just wonder there, Gerardo, do Galway have the options at the back? Like,
No.
they lost the wing back, they had to move Owen Lynch, a midfielder, back.
That's the big problem.
Plenty of options from midfield up, but do they have the options in the back line? I'm not so sure if they got an injury. But one little side thing for next Sunday I'm looking forward to is Ollie Canning and John Millan. John Millan is in the form of his life, and he's been outstanding. But Ollie Canning, one of the great stickmen of any generation, and it'll just be intriguing to see like Millan's pace versus maybe Ollie's pace might be slipping, but still an unbelievable ball player.
Back to the club final last year when Milan was playing against Portumna in Croke Park, they just snuffed him out completely. So if Waterford have to win next Sunday, they can't just be banking on relying on Milan to the same extent that they have banked on him so far.
Yeah, let's look at what I call the crucial incident that second half, Paul, the Galway goal, because things were tight all the way through this match, a point here, a point there, and I was beginning to wonder about extra time, and the next thing Galway got the goal, and you felt that was that.
Yeah, we were talking about a goal would decide the game, and Kevin Hayes came on, and you can see kind of the understanding here that they have from playing at club level. Like Hines, good ball out, and in fairness, Ollie Canning under pressure. But this is the type of thing Galway were doing in the first half. They were kind of dithering on it. That's a good first time ball up the field, and you can see here, great vision, little flick in. Now we all thought, here it is, Joe's going to finish it, but kind of makes it easy for Dunlogue. Ball comes out, and it's easy kind of miss that ball. You can see the Cork defender John Garner coming. It's easy kind of take your eyes off the ball, but in fairness, cool touch, little touch, and a little flick in.
It's actually, Paul, very like a goal they got against Ballyhale Shamrocks in Thurles.
In the semi-final. But they got
Joe just flicked it in, and
but that was the crucial.
That
was the crucial score at the right time. I think there was 9 minutes left at that stage, and in fairness, it kind of put 4 points between.
The miss was vital, though. The miss was vital after it.
I was just going to say this. I mean, Cork had a chance to come right back into this game.
That made it
unbelievable.
That made it 115 to 14 points when Niall McCarthy got the chance. And that would have brought it back again to 1 point. So it would still be in the melting pot.
Now, and we're still asking ourselves, Michael Dyken, how was this missed?
Well, I think you just look at it yourself here. There's not much you can add to it. Niall McCarthy won't need us to be hammering his on television, but at any level, at club level, never mind intercounty level, like the goalie went down, left the whole side of the goals open. All he did was tap it into the empty net, and he didn't do it.
Cork did have another chance after this, not as gilt-edged as that one, but it was another chance.
Still, Saki was inside in his own, and the first touch maybe let him down there a little bit.
That's one thing Galway's full back line want to watch, is leaving the man inside them. The Cork full forward line were drawing them out, and then there was a man sneaking in behind. This happened in the first half as well, and something that really want to be aware of against Waterford, especially up against the like of Milan. But apart from that, whenever it was a 50-50 ball down in the Kavanagh, Ollie, they just cleaned it out,
Another thing that was critical to Galway, and we've been talking about as well, Paul, is the start they actually made at that second half, which was so important in these matches. Smith got a point, Farragher got a few good balls in midfield, banged over a point. These were critical scores.
Well, we were looking for him to do it in the first half, and we spoke at half-time maybe that if Galway could spread it out and kind of move the ball, and it was very evident, literally from the throw-in, here we go, good vision, and in fairness, like Farragher realised he's going to be blocked. That's something I was missing in the first half, and in fairness now, that's not an easy shot.
No.
And Andy Smith straight between the posts, although Dunloe disagrees with the umpire, but plenty of time, used the man, good running off the ball as well, and here we can see another example of it. They carry on the ball, and in fairness, you won't get a better striker ball than Gerald Farrell in the middle field. But look at the time and space he has on the opposite side of it. It is good play from Galway, but look at the time and space he has. There's no one really within 15 yards of him. And a player like him is not going to miss a shot like that.
We always like to highlight Michael Dygan individual pieces of skill that are outstanding, and we saw a lot of skill today from Joe Kenny from the place ball, but the sideline cut that he took was one of those. Yeah,
he missed a couple, and we were debating here, overall, should you be going for them or should you not be?
Yeah, Paul is the measuring tape out of this one again for us. We'll have a look at it.
Well, as Michael was saying, when they go over it's great, but when they go wide, they'll be personal. But you can see here it's 52 metres, that's 57 yards to the golfers that are watching. But just unbelievable. We were just saying that if there's a car parked in Dr. Morris Park behind the goal, I'd say the windscreen would be in bits.
I often saw Joe above in PS Stadium practicing 65s.
Yeah.
off the ground.
Yeah.
And he'd put over 5 out of 6 or 665,
yeah.
and they go way, way over the bar.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic skill.
Whether it's a good tactic or not in the game,
I know.
Is 1 out of 3 enough? You know. But I suppose you have someone like Joe, you might as well have a go.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 wouldn't be bad. Yes. There's 1 out of 3 today.
Let's have a recap on the scores of the day then in Gaelic games, just to wrap up on our programme here this evening, because we've had some very important matches. That's a recap of the results in Thurles, and of course Limerick winning that earlier game. Laois were ahead a lot of the time in that game against Limerick. Limerick coming through in the end in it. Don't think that score is right, but anyway. This is the football results then. Wicklow, of course, was in our live match this afternoon against Down, coming through that, scoring from a 45 in the dying moments of the game to win that one. Roscommon coming through against Wexford as well. A good win for Roscommon given what happened to them in the Connacht Championship earlier on. And Kerry just getting by against Sligo down in Tralee. Now, the Donegal-Derry match, that's the latest score. That game there has gone into extra time. All right, then it's almost time for us to go, but just before we do, a word about tomorrow's big GAA coverage here on RTE television. Now, that's the Ulster football final. It's going to be live from Clonus, where for the first time ever, Antrim and Tyrone meet in the Northern Decider. Now, our build-up is going to begin at 1:30 here on RTE2. OK, so that's where we leave it on this Saturday evening. My thanks, of course, to Ger, to Paul and to Michael for their thoughts over the past few hours. I do hope that you can join us tomorrow afternoon for that Ulster final. In the meantime, take care.
We've come from all over Europe to race, to battle, to be kings of every mountain, to win.
We're the Sean Kelly Cycling Academy, and we're doing more with Unpost.
With the right people behind you, you can do just about anything.
You're very welcome back. Now, later we'll see how Ger Loughnane got on in his club called